Chapter 169. Sun Fong, who had almost calmed down, was immediately lit up again. "You damn Taoist, I'm going to hack you into pieces. Who's husband and wife with it? Are your dog eyes blind?" Death Mage immediately typed a message with one hand, then showed it to Sun Fong. "He seems to be quite rich. It won't be too late to kill him after we snatch his money." Sun Fong, who was so angry that her chest was heaving up and down, gradually calmed down and said in a sweet voice, "Let me go." Death Mage let go of Sun Fong's willowy waist. "I didn't expect that a human's waist would feel so good to the touch. It is soft and very comfortable. It's no wonder that both his honor and master have women. This is probably what his honor likes, right?" Hugging Sun Fong at night feels very comfortable. Looking at Sun Fong, who was not far away from Death Mage seemed to have understood why his honor wanted Sun Fong to fall madly in love with him. "So this is a reward for me. I am truly stupid. Only now did I understand his honor's painstaking efforts. I didn't expect that his honor would actually be so concerned about the private life of his subordinate. I am truly touched." Sun Fong walked up to Do Fusher and shouted, "Hand over the money." Do Fusher thought that he was going to die, but he didn't expect that the evil ghost couple only wanted money. "Sister Ghost, this is all I have." Do Fusher took out his empty wallet. There was only about 20 yuan in it. He was even poorer than her. Sun Fong kicked him. It seemed like she was very angry. "Don't think that I don't know. Who still carries cash these days? WeChat transfer." Sun Fong shouted, "F*CK me. Now, evil ghosts are in sync with the times. They're even using WeChat to commit robbery." He had underestimated this vengeful ghost's cultivation. "Bastard, hurry up and come over here." Sun Fong shouted towards Death Mage. However, Do Fusher, who was kneeling on the ground, was stunned. "Are all ghosts so affectionate these days?" "Sister Gui, I'm just trying to make a living. There are fewer and fewer ghosts these days. They've all been captured by the big sections. I really don't have much money." Do Fusher begged bitterly. "Humph, so you're an orphan. Stop quibbling and transfer the money." "Orphan?" Do Fusher's heart was bleeding. After adding him on WeChat, Sun Fong shouted, "Transfer 10,000 first." Now, even ghosts know that WeChat can only transfer 10,000 yuan a day. Death Mage happily accepted the 10,000 credits, then typed a few words, "Kill it." Sun Fong raised her hand. "Big Sister Ghost, I can still transfer 10,000 tomorrow." Do Fusher immediately shouted. Who cared if it was useful or not? Staying alive was more important. Death Mage was overjoyed. However, Sun Fong didn't care so much. Only death could calm her heart. It was a money tree that could drop money every day. It would be a pity if it died. Death Mage hugged on to Sun Fong, who had gone berserk once again. However, Sun Fong's delicate hands had already fallen onto Death Mage's body. Do Fusher looked at the cracked ground beside him, and his back turned cold. Big Brother Gui was the best. Sister Gui was too cruel. "Let me go, I want to kill him." "Dead ghost, quickly let go of me." Sun Fong struggled within Death Mage's embrace as she scratched and bit at Death Mage. Death Mage let out a breath. "This woman is truly insane. Seems like I have no choice but to use my trump card. As long as I use my trump card, I can guarantee that she will immediately faint. That is kiss of death." Death Mage gave out his second kiss in his life, and Sun Fong opened her beautiful eyes wide. Looking at the empty eye sockets in front of her, her eyes rolled, and she fainted. Do Fusher slowly lowered his head. "I am still a child. Big Brother Gay, are you very short of money?" Do Fusher asked. Death Mage, who was hugging onto Sun Fong, typed on his phone, "Tell me, I just passed by a winery, and I heard that something big is going to happen in Sanya, and there's money to be made from it." Although Do Fusher didn't hear what Death Mage said, he roughly understood what Death Mage meant. "Is there really such a thing?" Death Mage typed and asked. "In order to save my life, even if there isn't, I have to say that there is." "Big Brother Gui, how would I dare to lie to you?" Death Mage thought for a bit. "Since something big is going to happen, I will definitely be able to gather information. Furthermore, I will also be able to make money, so why not?" If you dare to lie to me, you are dead for sure. Death Mage typed. With a wave of his hand, the three of them instantly disappeared from the park and appeared in Sanya. Death Mage truly comes and goes without a trace. Yihua is still waiting for the flight tomorrow. Right now, Yihua and the others had just finished eating supper and were returning home together. Hubby, I'm so full. Qinya held onto Yihua's arm and said sweetly. After the misunderstanding was solved, Qinya became like a little girl and liked to act cute in front of Yihua. Yihua patted on Qinya's head. Who asked you to eat so much? So full, Zizi is also full. The two Chuin that were following behind Qing held onto their waists and looked as if they were going to die from bloating. These are the three foodies. Of course, the one who looks good is called a foodie. The one who looks ugly is called a rice bucket. Returning back to the bedroom, Qinya, who had eaten and drank to her heart's content, instantly fell asleep. She was the kind that wouldn't wake up even if you shouted at her. Early morning. The weather today was not bad. The sun was not very big, suitable for going out for a trip. Yihua opened his eyes and looked at his chest. Seems like Qinya's drooling problem is finally gone. Wake up. Raising his hand, Yihua lightly patted Qinya. Wake up. No, it is still early now. Our flight is at noon. I'll buy breakfast for you. Yihua was a man who kept his promise. Since he had promised, he would definitely fulfill it. Qinya hugged onto Yihua tightly. You are not allowed. I will buy breakfast for you later. Yihua had no choice but to carry Qinya and throw her into the washroom to let her sober up a bit. However, the sound of Qinya fighting Yihua to the death could be heard from the washroom. The result was, of course, Qinya was defeated. Big Sister Qing, why are Big Cousin and the rest so noisy? Yi Zizi lied on the bed and asked in a daze. Qing Yutong had even more of a bad sleeping posture. The blanket was kicked off the bed as she muttered, "It will be fine once you get used to it." Oh! While smoking, Yihua walked out of Leisure Bar and arrived at the entrance of the alley. 2 pancakes, one of them with eggs and sausages. Yihua stood in front of the ant and shouted. Upon hearing that, the ant smiled and said, "Have you reconciled?" Yihua did not speak. Stop pretending. What is there to be shy about? Coaxing your wife is a natural thing to do. Which eye of yours saw that I am pretending? Do you believe that I will not eat here anymore in the future? The ant who was making pancakes laughed and said, "You should smile more. What is the point of putting on a straight face every day, especially when facing your wife?" Preposterous logic. Yihua said indifferently. The ant was not convinced, and a debate began. Qinya waited for a long time and did not see Yihua return, and was a little worried. Thus, she ran to the entrance of the alley and actually saw Yihua and the ant arguing about something. "Yihua, you too?" Qinya walked over and asked curiously. Yihua stretched out his hand and hugged onto the ant's shoulder, then said, "My wife, I will make the decision." The ant was speechless. Just a few days ago, you two still looked like you were about to die. If not for Ant helping you, you two would not be able to reconcile so quickly. Next time, don't expect Ant to help you. Chapter 170. While eating the ant's crepe, Yihua snorted. If it wasn't for the fact that the crepe tastes good, I wouldn't have come here to buy it from you. Qinya didn't know whether to laugh or cry as she hit Yihua. What are you doing? That ant actually said that I'm afraid of my wife. Just thinking about it makes me angry. While biting on the crepe that the ant made, Yihua scolded the ant. In actuality, every time Yihua went to buy breakfast, the Ani would always sincerely tell Yihua about it. In the beginning, Yihua had the intention to kill Yihua, but at that time, Yihua endured it. After a few years had passed, Yihua had actually gotten used to it. If I don't listen to the Ani's nagging, I would feel like I am lacking something. Humph, isn't it good to be afraid of me? Qinya laughed. Yihua chuckled and walked in a leisure bar. Stop right there. What do you mean by he? Qinya stomped her feet, then took a bite of the Chinese jianbing. So fragrant, after returning to the second floor, everyone began to clean up their clothes. Yihua looked at the 3 women. Are they preparing to move, or what? Especially Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, these 2 big chests. The box was almost as tall as Yi Zizi. Qinya dragged her luggage out and looked at her sister and Zizi. Why did you 2 bring so many things? Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi looked at Qing Ya's suitcase, then looked at their own suitcase. Cousin-in-law, your suitcase is even bigger than Zizi's. Qing Ya rolled her eyes at Yi Hua, who was leaning against the door. Your big cousin's clothes are also stuffed inside. Big brother is even lazier than Zizi. Yi Hua glared at Yi Zizi, then said faintly, "Let's go." Qing Yutong cried out in surprise. Me and Zizi still haven't changed yet. Wait a moment for us. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong closed the door. When Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi appeared once again, the corner of Yi Hua and Qing Ya's mouth couldn't help but twitch. It is one thing for Yi Zizi to wear a princess dress and hold a small umbrella, but you, Qing Yutong, are already so big, and you're still wearing such a dress. The main point is still my face. Qing Ya's head was hurting. Sister, I have another set here. Do you want to change? Qing Yutong said elatedly. If it was only one person wearing it, it would be crazy, but if it was two people wearing it, two crazy people wearing it, at least there would be one companion. It would be best if Big Sister was dragged into the water. Then there would be 3 crazy people. Yi Zizi turned around and giggled. Eldest Biaoga, eldest cousin-in-law, is Zizi beautiful? It must be said that Yi Zizi was indeed extremely cute, and there was no problem with Qing Yutong dressing up like this. But walking on a street like this, is it really suitable? Sai, let's go, Qing Yu said dispiritedly. She felt as if she was bringing along 3 children who were going out on a trip. Arriving at the airport, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi instantly became the focus of attention. Basically, everyone was looking at the two of them and taking all kinds of photos. Especially Yi Zizi. Uncles love her the most. 9 out of 10 Lolas are rich, and there's still one. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were very magnanimous, and they put on various kinds of poses. An airport was forcefully turned into a cosplay exhibition, and if it wasn't for Qing Yu dragging the two of them away, the two of them would definitely play for an entire day. Qing Yu finally knew why Yi Hua said that on that day. My heart is so tired. I have to be their nanny. When they arrived at the VIP waiting room, they finally stopped talking, but they were still discussing all kinds of clothes. Now you know that you have a headache. Yi Hua sat on the sofa and said faintly while looking at a magazine. Qing Yu let out a breath. I should have listened to Yi Hua back then. So tired, it's all Master's fault. I am just a servant. Suddenly, an arrogant middle-aged man walked in from the door, but when he saw Yi Hua and the others, he immediately shrunk his head and slightly turned around. Xiao Jiu, Qing Yutong shouted out. Jiu Ye's heart sunk. Why is it them again? Nothing good will come out of being together with them. However, I have already been discovered if I were to leave just like this Sai. Boss, lady boss. Jiu Yi smiled and walked forward. Yi Hua raised his head and took a look, then lowered his head and looked at the magazine again. He felt that some of the clothes in the magazine were very suitable for Qing Yu. Xiao Jiu, where are you going? Qing Yu smiled slightly, completely different from the cold-faced CEO in the past. The power of love is just too great. Jiu Yi felt very bitter in his heart. Please don't go to the same place. Lady boss, I am preparing to go to Sanya. You're going to Sanya too. We're going too. Jiu Yi. Other than laughing dryly, Jiu Yi didn't know how to express his current mood. Jiu Yi didn't dare to sit down. He poured a cup of water and stood at the side, waiting. Suddenly, his phone rang, and when he took out his phone to take a look, it was actually his wife who called. What's the matter? Jiu Yi asked lightly. A questioning voice could be heard coming out from the phone. Where did you go? Didn't I tell you last night? I am going to Sanya to settle some matters. Jiu Yi slightly wrinkled his brows. This wife of mine is always letting her imagination run wild every day. Sanya, to attend the Ocean and Sky Banquet. F***K. You can even think of this. Why don't you go write a book? Are you sick? Jiu Yi shouted lightly. The cup of water in his hand trembled, and the tea spilled onto his suit. A flight attendant could be seen slowly walking over and said delicately, Sir, your water is flowing out. Do you need me to clean it up? Jiu Yi went into a daze, and the woman on the phone was also stunned. Soon after, Jiu Yi exploded in anger. Gong Wei, you still dare to talk about going to Sanya? to actually look for a lady. If you have the ability, don't come back. Hearing the busy tone from the phone, Jiu Yi went into a daze. However, the flight attendant also heard the voice from the phone. Sir, I'm sorry for causing trouble for you. Jiu Yi sighed, then kept the 8848 titanium phone. It's fine. Sorry for disturbing you. I knew that nothing good would come out of meeting this couple. It hasn't even been a minute and my wife is going to divorce. After waiting for half an hour, Yi Hua and the others boarded the plane. The plane that they bought was, of course, a business class seat. After Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi boarded the plane, they immediately went to sleep. However, Yi Zizi was lying on Qing Yutong's body as she slept. They definitely looked like mother and daughter. Meanwhile, Qing Yu was lying on Yi Hua's body, quietly enjoying the moment of tranquility. Jiu Yi was just sitting at the side, but he still couldn't let go of himself. This is truly depressing. Suddenly, a flight attendant walked over. Jiu Yi raised his head and took a look, and it was actually that flight attendant from just now. Sir, it's not good for your water stain to stick to your clothes. Let me help you clean it up. The flight attendant slightly bowed her body. Jiu Yi was an experienced person, and he immediately understood what this flight attendant meant. Interesting. Since you want to help me clean it up so much, I will help you clean it up then. Where are we going? Sir, follow me. There's a place to change clothes here. The so-called place to change clothes was the washroom, and when Jiu Yi walked out of the washroom had indeed been cleaned up. After flying for 1.5 hours, they finally arrived at Sanya International Airport. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were holding onto a small umbrella, and they had a sleepy look on their face, making them look very lovable. Boss, lady boss, where are you two staying? I will send you two there. Jiu Yi said courteously, feeling that he could finally get rid of them. Chapter 171. That's too much trouble for you. Qing Yu also appeared to be very polite. It's no trouble at all. Then let's go to the Three Seasons Hotel. Lord Jiu, why? Why are we even staying in the same hotel? Why does the heavens have to target me? Jiu Yi, I really want to stay in another hotel, but Master has already instructed me to stay in this hotel and wait for orders. Big cousin, Zizi can't walk anymore. Hug me. Yi Zizi rubbed her hazy eyes and stretched out her arms. Yi Hua let out a sigh. This fellow is truly too lazy. Just as Yi Zizi was about to carry Yi Zizi, Qing Yu was faster than Yi Zizi. Yi Hua was speechless. Yi Zizi could be seen hugging on a Qing Yu's white neck and immediately fell asleep. Yi Zizi was famous for being lazy. When she was bored, she would sleep, and it was the kind of sleep that lasted only seconds. The longest time she slept was several months. The Three Seasons Hotel was located by the sea. Its location was excellent, and it was a 5-star hotel with complete facilities. One could face the sea when they woke up in the morning. This feeling was very comfortable, but the price was not cheap. After arriving at the hotel, Yi Zizi was once again full of energy and was chattering nonstop with Qing Yutong. Without thinking too much, these two were definitely discussing to do something bad. There were a lot of people going in and out of the Three Seasons Hotel, causing Qing Yu to be a bit puzzled. Although it is currently the tourist season, the number of people here is a bit too much, right? Yi Hua felt that these people weren't ordinary people, and he was rather curious in his heart. What are so many people gathering here for? Shouldn't they be discussing about going to the north to snatch the ancient godly item? After Jiu Yi arrived at the hotel, he hurriedly took his leave. Although I really want to hug onto this thigh, but I feel that this thigh is very dangerous, even more dangerous than those masters. The main thing is that Jiu Yi doesn't have any confidence in his heart. This boss doesn't play his cards according to common sense, and furthermore, I can't see through him. Fortunately, I booked a room yesterday. Qing Yu said with a light smile. Yi Zizi, who was at the side, was holding a small umbrella and licking her lips. There was so much delicious food in front of her. She almost couldn't hold it in anymore. Qing Yutong also held onto the small umbrella and acted cute. After poking Yi Zizi, Qing Yutong's eyebrows twitched. Yi Zizi immediately understood and raised his eyebrows. It seemed like the two of them didn't even need to talk to communicate anymore. They could only use their eyebrows. After taking the room card, Everyone went upstairs to rest. Qingyu decided to start taking the wedding photos tomorrow, then properly accompany. You ought to have a good rest and treat it as a honeymoon. While Yihua was currently on vacation happily, little Ali, who was far away in Voidless Realm, wasn't so lucky. He finished his homework in the morning, ate his lunch, and practiced his swordsmanship in the afternoon. Right now, Dong Huang Li was brandishing a sword that was even longer than Dong Huang Li. Dong Huang Li's face was covered with sweat, but Dong Huang Li didn't complain about it. Dong Huang Li's eyes were filled with determination. I will definitely not disappoint my mother. When my mother sees my achievements, she will definitely be happy and reveal a smile on her face and not frown all day long. Soft shouts rang out in the side courtyard, and the female attendants in the surroundings felt extremely distressed. Such a young child, under normal circumstances, would act like a spoiled child by her mother's side. Just because she was the Empress's child, did she have to work so hard? Your Highness, please take a rest, one of the maids said with a pained heart. Dong Huang Li could be heard saying, "There's no need for that. Mother will definitely be happy to see how hard-working Ali is." The maid let out a light sigh. The Empress is very busy every single day, and she can only come over to see little His Highness at night. Dong Huang Li repeatedly practiced the sword technique that her mother taught her, and her sweat had already drenched her clothes. Not knowing how long had passed, Dong Huang Li kept her sword and looked towards her mother's bedroom. The bedroom is clearly right in front of me, but I can't go over. Your Highness, please take a rest. The maid brought over a cup of tea and said with concern. Ali miss his mother. Dong Huang Li didn't take the cup of tea and said in a daze. The maid was a bit flustered and immediately knelt in front of Dong Huang Li. Your Highness, the Empress has given the order. Your Highness is not allowed to walk out of this side courtyard without permission. How could Dong Huang Li not know about this? Dong Huang Li let out a light breath. Big Sister Ping, it's all Ali's fault. I made you all follow Ali and live here. Perhaps Ali shouldn't even exist in this world. Dong Huang Li slowly squatted down and hugged on her legs. From the moment Dong Huang Li was born until now, she had never left this side courtyard. Other than those 8 elders, no one knew that the Empress had a daughter. Even the maids that were serving the Empress were not allowed to step out of the side courtyard. Of course, there were also the Empress's imperial guards that were stationed at the entrance of the side courtyard. These maids had watched Dong Huang Li grow up day by day. However, the more they watched Dong Huang Li grow up, the more their hearts ached. The Empress is too heartless. However, Dong Huang Baiji had her own difficulties as well. Ali's birth was unknown, and if this matter were to be spread out, the consequences would be unthinkable. It might even implicate the entire Voidless Realm. In this world, which mother would be willing to lock their child up? Your Highness. The maid lightly hugged on a Dong Huang Li and comforted her. Let's go back to our room. Dong Huang Li took another look at her mother's bedroom, then dragged her petite back into the room. The 3 maids immediately went to prepare hot water and food. After eating dinner by herself, Dong Huang Li sat in front of the window and looked at the stars. Dong Huang Li was already used to it. Originally, there was a computer that allowed me to interact with the outside world, but right now, I don't even have a computer anymore. I can only continue to be in a daze and wait for my mother to come over. I should be able to sleep after hugging my mother. I should be able to have a good dream, right? I should be able to dream that my mother will bring me to sit on a pirate ship, eat ice cream, and eat McDonald's. Just thinking about it makes me happy. Dong Huang Li waited for an unknown amount of time. Dong Huang Li turned her head around and looked at the door. Mother still hasn't come over. Dong Huang Li stood up and walked to the door. It was very quiet outside the door. Dong Huang Li wrinkled her brows, then walked to the door of the courtyard with small steps. From the crack of the door, she saw that there was someone standing outside the courtyard. Dong Huang Li was a bit disappointed. She turned around and walked towards the courtyard. If only I'm able to pass through the wall. What is my mother doing right now? Suddenly, Dong Huang Li's petite body disappeared from the courtyard, and when she reappeared, she was already outside the wall. Dong Huang Li was badly frightened by herself. Looking at the guards that were tens of meters away, Dong Huang Li immediately ran to the corner and covered her mouth. Wasn't I inside the courtyard just now? Why did I come out? Also, my head feels so dizzy, I am seeing double. After a long while, Dong Wangli finally came back to her senses. Originally, Dong Wangli wanted to go back to the courtyard, but when she saw her mother's bedroom, Dong Wangli wanted to hug her mother before going back to sleep. Since Dong Wangli had already decided, she walked towards her mother's bedroom. This was the first time that Dong Wangli walked outside of her mother's bedroom. Every single grass and every single tree was able to arouse Dong Wangli's curiosity. Unknowingly, Dong Wangli felt very happy. Soon, Dong Wangli arrived outside of her mother's bedroom. Dong Wangli muttered, "There are so many guards. If only I could go in like how I did just now." Dong Wangli immediately appeared inside the bedroom. However, Dong Wangli was currently holding on her head, looking like she was about to faint. However, when Dong Wangli saw that the bedroom was right in front of her, Dong Wangli became very excited. The lights in the bedroom are still lit. Mother should still be dealing with some matters. Dong Wangli felt that she should go and pour a cup of water for her mother to drink and tell her mother to rest early. Chapter 172. Before even reaching the entrance of the palace, Dong Wangli could already hear the voices of people talking inside. "Seems like my mother is still busy. I'll just wait here and not disturb my mother." Within the palace, Dong Wangbaiji was sitting on a purple gold chair while sipping on a cup of tea. Below her, there were two elders, Yuanda and Xinghan. "Your Majesty, Ing family has already received our message and agreed to it without any hesitation." Yuanda had a joyous look on his face. The marriage with Ing family was a win-win situation. If the Empress is able to give birth to a baby boy, there won't be three big powers anymore. There will only be one big power. Xinghan said gravely, "Your Majesty, Ji family seems to be doing something. It seems like they want to destroy the marriage." Yuanda snorted coldly. "Do you think that Ji family can contend against two big families? They are truly overestimating themselves. This marriage is related to the change of the entire situation. The aristocratic families and the big sects are getting restless." Xinghan was a bit worried. Although the marriage was good, a lot of people didn't want to see this kind of marriage, especially Ji family. Dong Wangbaiji placed her right hand on her chin and asked faintly, "What is the reaction of the aristocratic families in the north?" Yuanda paused for a moment, then said with a frown, "The 5 aristocratic families have sent their reports. 3 congratulate, and 2 oppose." "What is the reason for the opposition?" Dong Wangbaiji asked calmly. Yuanda and Xinghan looked at each other. Then Xinghan said gravely, "Your Majesty is noble and holy. How can a mortal be worthy of the Empress?" Dong Wangbaiji laughed lightly, but she didn't say anything. After a while, Dong Wangbaiji asked, "What is the situation inside Ing family?" Ing family's eldest young master seems to be a bit unhappy after receiving the news, and the second young master, Ing Kongshi, is holding a banquet in Sanya. Xinghan said with a smile. Dong Wangbaiji said calmly, "He is happy. Of course, being able to marry the Empress is his good fortune. Furthermore, the betrothal gifts are still being prepared, and we will be able to set off tomorrow morning." Bang! A clear and melodious sound interrupted everyone's conversation. Yuanda and Xinghan's expression darkened, and they immediately disappeared from where they stood and appeared outside of the palace. When they saw Dong Wangli, who had a surprised look on her face, they immediately paid their respects. "Your Majesty." Dong Wangbaiji walked out slowly. Looking at the teacup that was knocked over and her daughter who was still in a daze, Dong Wangbaiji said, regarding the betrothal gifts, I'll leave it to you two. Go and check if anyone has seen Ali. If there is, you two should know what to do." "Yes, yes." Dong Wangbaiji carried onto her absent-minded daughter, then disappeared from the bedroom and appeared in a small house within the courtyard. Lightly placing down her daughter, Dong Wangbaiji said gravely, "Kneel down." Dong Wangli stood there foolishly. Her entire head was completely stupefied. Mother is actually going to marry someone else? Mother doesn't want me anymore and doesn't want father anymore. "Kneel down," Dong Wangbaiji shouted out in a low voice. It is fortunate that I did not make a huge mistake tonight. However, I was truly too mischievous. Dong Wang Li could be heard saying, "I won't kneel." I dare you to say it one more time. Dong Wang Baiji looked at her daughter in disbelief. She actually dares to talk back to me. "I won't kneel. I hate mother." Dong Wang Li's body trembled, and two streams of tears flowed out from her eyes. Dong Wang Baiji's expression immediately changed as she raised her hand up high. However, Dong Wang Li did not have the slightest bit of fear as she looked at her mother, who seemed unfamiliar to her. In the end, Dong Wang Baiji didn't manage to slap Dong Wang Baiji. Dong Wang Baiji retracted her hand. "Ali, why do you hate mother? Is it because mother locked you up in here?" Dong Wang Li questioned her mother like a little adult. "Mother, you are being disrespectful to father. Your father is already dead. Why should I be disrespectful to him? In any case, if mother were to marry another man, it would be disrespectful to father. Furthermore, if mother were to give birth to another baby, she would definitely not want Ali anymore." Upon thinking that her mother would never come back to her house again, Dong Wang Li cried even louder. Dong Wang Baiji let out a sigh and prepared to carry her stubborn daughter. However, who knew that Dong Wang Li would not allow her to carry her daughter and struggled free from her mother's embrace. "Ali, you don't have to worry about adults' matters. You just have to do your homework." Dong Wang Li could be seen kneeling onto the ground and begging, "Mother, can you not marry another man? Is it because Ali is not good enough? Ali can sleep a few hours less in the future. As long as mother is happy, Ali is willing to do anything." Dong Wang Baiji's expression changed. However, she gradually regained her calmness and said, "Go and rest early." After finished speaking, Dong Wang Baiji walked out of the house. However, when Dong Wang Baiji closed the door, a stream of tears flowed out from her eyes. However, very quickly, the tears evaporated and the delicate look on her face disappeared. Ali, who was inside the house, sat powerlessly on the ground. "Mother doesn't want me anymore." Within the Three Seasons Hotel, Yuhua had already fallen asleep while hugging on Chinya, and Chinya, who was sleeping, had a smile on her face. I reckon that she was having a good dream. In another room, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi began changing their clothes again. "Big Sister Qing, what clothes are we going to wear tonight? The uniform is still 2D, and it is still the maid uniform." Yi Zizi flipped through her suitcase, and inside the suitcase, there were all beautiful and cute clothes. Qing Yutong took out a set of nurse uniform, then revealed out an evil smile. "Zizi, how about this set of mine?" "Awesome. Then what should I wear to go to the disco dance?" Yi Zizi said dispiritedly. "Big Sister will help you choose. This lowly version of the teacher uniform is quite cute." Wow, Big Sister Qing's eyes sure are good. It is the same as what Zizi was thinking. Yi Zizi hugged onto the clothes, seemingly like they were treasures. "Change into the clothes. Let's go." Go, go. Not long after, the two changed into the uniforms. There was no need to talk about Qing Yutong. She wore a little white cap, matched with the nurse uniform, and added with white stockings, she was simply able to make people's blood spurt out. However, if Qing were to see her little sister's appearance, she would definitely pick up a kitchen knife and chase after her, because right now, Qing Yutong still looked like her big sister. The lowly version of the teacher uniform on Yi Zizi was even more incredible, especially those two ponytails. Yi Zizi really wanted to grab onto one with each of her hands. "Damn, Zizi, you are too cute. Let Big Sister kiss you." Don't want. I won't let you kiss me." Qing Yutong didn't care so much and directly pounced onto Yi Zizi. The scene was a bit erotic. Fill in the blanks yourself. After playing around for a short while, the two walked towards the bar downstairs of the Three Seasons Hotel. When the passers-by saw the two's attire, they were undoubtedly dumbfounded. Dressing up like this in the middle of the night, aren't you afraid of losing contact? In another room of the hotel, Jiu Yi also received the orders of his two masters. Right now, Jiu Yi is very gloomy. "My two masters actually told me to go and kill someone, and it is even the same person. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? If I knew that it would be like this, I would have called someone else. I'm not an assassin." Looking at the photo on my phone, This man is quite handsome. It is a pity that he provoked someone that he shouldn't have provoked. Jiuyi raised up the 2 bottles in his hands, killing someone without a trace. I heard from my masters that after drinking this medicine, I won't die for the time being, but when I want to die, I will die. These 2 masters are thinking the same thing. Chapter 173. There was a 3 Seasons bar downstairs of the 3 Seasons Hotel. The place was quite big, and the business was also very good. There was no shortage of men hunting for sex, and there was no shortage of women seeking excitement. As long as you had money, you could really do whatever you wanted here. The DJ in the bar stirred up the atmosphere. Countless young men and women shook their bodies crazily, enjoying the excitement of physical contact with strangers. In the corner of the bar, 2 men sat in the booth. They were dressed in ordinary clothes and were not eye-catching. However, no one could have imagined that one of the men was the second young master of the Ing family, Ing Kongshi, and the other was his personal attendant, Liu Bai. The 2 of them had been master and servant since they were young, and their relationship was quite good. At this time, Ing Kongshi was shaking his head along with the rhythm of the music. He was in a great mood, but Liu Bai, who was beside him, seemed very worried. "Young master, let's go back. It's enough for your wedding. Don't cause any trouble," Liu Bai suggested. When the young master received the news today, he was so excited that he almost went to the heavens. Not only did he want to hold a banquet, he even sneaked out to have fun tonight. Ing Kongshi laughed and shouted, "Bibi, cheer up. Who would know that I'm here? But I'm afraid that young master will harm you," Liu Bai said worriedly. "Do you know why Her Majesty chose me and not him?" Ing Kongshi asked with a confident smile. Liu Bai shook his head. Ing Kongshi patted Liu Bai's shoulder. Who would choose a troublemaker? Of course, they would choose someone who is easy to control, just like me. Liu Bai came to a sudden realization. Young master is wise, but marrying him will damage young master's reputation. Ing Kongshi laughed out loud and lit up a cigarette. "Bibi, you really don't know anything. Being able to suppress the Empress makes my life worth it. Young master is right. It's a pity that the Eastern Emperor doesn't have a male successor. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a share in it. In the end, I'm just a sower. But no matter what, the seed is still my Ing family's." Ing Kongshi gradually stopped smiling and said in a low voice, "Of course, young master is currently the person that all men in the world are envious of, and the expression that young master had today was also, 'Haha, my brother probably wants to kill me.' Young master, let's go back. Safety is more important." Liu Bai continued to persuade. Ing Kongshi smiled and said, all right, let's go back after playing for a while. Order a fruit platter and 2 bottles of beer." Liu Bai sighed. The young master was probably bored to death. The things of the secular world were just so attractive. At this moment, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi had also arrived at the entrance of the bar. For beautiful women, there was no need for them to queue up, and they were directly allowed to enter. However, when the 2 of them appeared in the bar, everyone who saw them was stunned. This big and small pair was too awesome. It was Yi Zizi's first time in a bar. She became excited as soon as she heard the music. Her ponytail began to flutter, and her hair opened up. She was ready for a big cleaning. "Zizi, are you high?" Qing Yutong shouted out loudly. Yi Zizi paused for a moment. Her ponytail calmed down, and she asked loudly, "Sister Qing, what are we going to do now?" "Of course, we're going to shake it." Qing Yutong held onto Yi Zizi's hand and walked towards the dance floor. Just when they turned around, they bumped into a person, and the beer on the plate immediately fell onto the ground and shattered. Lord Jiu stared blankly at the broken wine bottle. He had changed into his work clothes the moment he arrived at the bar. All of this had been arranged beforehand. Now that the opportunity had come, the medicine had already been administered. The target was just 15 meters away, and yet this woman knocked the target the moment she turned around. Jiuye's heart was bleeding. "Xiao Jiu, why is it you?" Qing Yutong cried out in surprise. When Jiuyi saw this face, he finally knew why he was so unlucky. "Oh my God, these people are really haunting me." Forget about it being on the same flight. They even stayed in the same hotel. They even bumped into me when I was doing a mission and they even spilled my poison. But luckily, I still have one more bottle. You got the wrong person. Jiuyi lowered his head, turned around and left, and continued to administer the medicine. Qing Yutong pouted her mouth, but did not really care about it. Pulling Yi Zizi along, she ran to the dance floor and had fun. Sure enough, when the two girls ran to the dance floor, they immediately became the focus of attention. Everyone surrounded them into a circle and shouted out. Qing Yutong was a celebrity. Her dancing skills and whatnot were not difficult for her. It was Yi Zizi's first time dancing, and she did not really understand. But when she saw Qing Yutong twisting and turning, she started learning, and very quickly, she found the feeling. A beautiful woman that was bubbling with beauty and a cute little lowly. There were a lot of people at the scene who were currently opening up Baidu and searching how many years they would be sentenced to. Those two are a bit interesting. Inkansher also noticed Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi who were on the dance floor. Lu Bai nodded his head. Gongzi's eyesight is indeed unique. Do you need me to go? Go ahead. This big and small pair are truly not bad. Inkansher's eyes shone. This kind of beauty is too rare to see. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi enjoyed everyone's gazes, and they felt great, and Yi Zizi became a bit excited again. I'm almost unable to control the feeling of sucking people. Yi Zizi pouted her small mouth. Although it was not interesting for ordinary people to suck people, it was still better than nothing. Two misses. Can you give me face and drink a cup of wine? Lu Bai could be seen walking in front of the two of them and shouting. Qing Yutong pulled Yi Zizi and straightforwardly agreed. There is a free drink to drink. It would be a waste not to drink. Lu Bai thought that it would be very hard to persuade them, but he didn't expect that it would be so easy. Seems like Gongzi is going to have good luck with women tonight. Seeing a beautiful woman leaving with a man, everyone was envious. This kind of thing is hard to encounter even once a year. Arriving at the booth, Inkansher stood up, then stretched out his hand in a refined manner. Nice to meet you too. However, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi ignored him, and even more so, did not stretch out their hand and directly sat on the booth. Inkansher retracted his hand a bit awkwardly. All beautiful women have such personality. Big sister Qing, I'm a bit thirsty. Yi Zizi pulled on a Qing Yutong's arm. Qing Yutong looked towards Inkansher and said with a smile, Handsome brother, you don't even have wine here. Why did you call us over? Wine? No problem. Inkansher nodded his head towards Lu Bai, and the latter immediately went to make arrangements. Beautiful woman, did you come to Sanya for a vacation? Inkansher revealed a smile that he thought was very handsome. Yi Zizi said coquettishly, I'm not telling you, damn. This little lowly is simply too cute. If I were to grab onto those two ponytails, how refreshing would that be? If I were to add on the service of this beautiful woman, I would simply be as excited as pressing down on an empress. Mister, your wine is here. Jiuyi walked over with a smile and placed 2 bottles of beer on the table. However, when he saw Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, his expression immediately stiffened. Why is it them again? It is one thing to encounter them in the same bar, but to actually sit beside my target. What if they were to drink this wine? A waiter could be seen walking over, and under Jiuye's dumbfounded gaze, the waiter placed all of the wine on the table. Chapter 174. Lord Jiu was on the verge of tears. Qing Yutong was very puzzled. What exactly is this 9th master doing? He secretly disguised himself as a waiter and looked as if he had just eaten tea. How about playing dice? Qing Yutong suggested. Whatever the beautiful lady says. Inkansher smiled faintly. The moment he thought about grabbing on a ponytail and attacking crazily, he was secretly delighted. Qing Yutong laughed lightly. It's just that it's boring if there are too few people. Lu Bai smiled and said, I can do it too. How about we call him along as well? Qing Yutong pointed at Jiuyi with her delicate index finger. Jiuyi was about to collapse. I really want to cry, but the person who wanted to cry even more was the other waiter. You guys actually ordered an old waiter, and not a young fellow. Could it be that the taste of beauties nowadays has changed? How could Lord Jiu agree? He hurriedly said, Sir, I have to go to work. Lu Bai threw a bundle of red notes and said, I'm familiar with the boss here. Lord Jiu was also afraid that if he continued to refuse, his scheme would be exposed. All right, but there were at least 60 bottles here. Which 2 bottles were drugged? F***CK. This woman was a devil. Nothing good ever came out of meeting her. If you lose, you will lose a bottle, Qing Yutong said tenderly. Incongsure gave her a thumbs up and said, Beauty, you're so straightforward. 1 bottle it is. He saw that Yi Zizi had already opened a bottle and was drinking it first as a sign of respect. Burp. Looking at Yi Zizi's appearance when she burped, it was so adorable that everyone was about to explode. Incongsure couldn't wait any longer. Little Loli, my love, the 5 of them were playing dice, and they were drinking bottle after bottle. Soon, half of the bottles were gone. Lord Jiu drank about 10 bottles, and he didn't know if he had drunk poison. He felt unwell. It was all their fault. Why did they come here to drink? If they didn't come, the 2 bottles of wine they had just brought would have been drunk by this target. Although it was fine to drink the wine, as long as he cast a spell, he would instantly die on the spot. If the master cast a spell now, he would definitely die. Which 2 bottles were they? Because he was worried about the poison wine bottle, Lord Jiu was not in the mood to play the game. But because he was not in the mood to play, the chances of him losing were higher, so of course, he drank more. Not long after, the wine bottles on the table were emptied. Just who was it that drank those 2 bottles? Jiu Yi also did not know, but he knew that the probability of him being the one that drank those 2 bottles was higher. This beer is boring. Serve it white. Qing Yutong snorted. Incongsure couldn't wait to get them drunk. Therefore, he simply used the liquor with the highest alcohol content. Of course, he didn't drink it 1 bottle at a time. Instead, he drank it in small cups. Other than Jiu Yi, those sitting here were either old monsters or people with systems. Of course, there are also 2 cultivators. The pitiful Jiu Yi was probably going to cry himself to sleep in the toilet. Why did the immortals call a mortal like him to join in on the fun? Yi Zizi was a little bored. It was not as exciting as I stab you, and you stab me. She was playing with Incongshure's Zippo lighter. Lord Jiu could no longer hold on and was the first to fall. The others were like drinking water. The drunk Lord Jiu revealed a gratified smile. He must have dreamed that he had completed the mission. Beauty, you've lost again. Incongsure chuckled. However, it was strange. This woman had already drunk quite a bit. Why wasn't she drunk? Qing Yutong snorted, then looked at Yi Zizi who was playing with the lighter, then said, Handsome brother, your luck is not bad. Qing Yutong could be seen standing up, then filling up the beer for herself, then filling up the beer for Incongsure. However, right at this moment, Qing Yutong seemed to be a little unstable. She swung her delicate hand, and a small cup of liquor spilled onto Incongshure's crotch. Yi Zizi was startled. She swung the lighter in her hand, and it just so happened to land on Incongshure's crotch. Big Sister Qing, are you drunk? Fire! 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 Incongshure was a little stupefied. Who doesn't stupefy when his crotch is on fire? Incongshure immediately patted his crotch. Yi Zizi turned pale with fright. Don't panic. I'm here to save you. Yi Zizi could be seen pouring the liquor on the table. Pooh! The fire became a little more ferocious. Lu Bai hurriedly prepared to save Incongshure, but Qing Yutong pushed him away with her delicate hand and shouted, Let me do it. The 10 centimeters high heel directly stabbed towards the fire. No! Incongshure let out a miserable scream. However, his scream was drowned out by the music, and adding that it was at a corner. Who would look at him? Zizi, quickly come and help me. Qing Yutong stepped on Incongshure's crotch with all her might. Meanwhile, Lu Bai was lying on the sofa, unable to move at all as he watched his young master being humiliated. Yi Zizi's body was rather short, and thus, she stood on the sofa and stepped on the fire. Incongshure, who had fainted, was woken up by the pain, and he just happened to see Zizi's foot landing on the fire. Don't! Incongshure felt that his crotch seemed to be missing something, and it felt empty. Don't speak. Zizi is here to save your life. After finished speaking, Yi Zizi ferociously stepped on Incongshure's crotch, and Incongshure immediately fainted again. Just how big of a grudge do you have against my crotch? Furthermore, you are not saving my life. You are trying to take my life. The rescue was still going on, and after stomping on enchanting ferociously for around 5 minutes, the fire was finally extinguished. Qing Yutong wiped off the sweat on her forehead. Luckily, no one was burnt. Yi Zizi sighed. He was too careless. If it weren't for the two of us, he would have been burned to death. Lu Bai felt that he could control his body again, and he pounced toward his young master. Young master. Young master, wake up. Quickly bring him to the hospital. We can only help him to this point. Zizi, let's go. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong pulled Yi Zizi and left. Walking out of the bar, the two of them shook their eyebrows, high-fived each other, and hopped back to sleep. How dare you tease me? I will stomp on you in the bar. Lu Bai looked at young master's crotch. It was dyed red with fresh blood. It was probably a mess of flesh and blood. No, he had to go back and get treated. Lu Bai carried enchanting on his back and left quickly. Lord Jiao, who was originally drunk, immediately opened his eyes. If he did not pretend to be drunk just now, who knows how much he would have drunk. But when he squinted his eyes and saw them being violent, he couldn't help but touch his crotch. It was too cruel. A living person was trampled into a cripple by them. Thinking about how those 10 centimeters high heels pierced in his body, that kind of sour feeling. I reckon that only my target would be able to experience it. Now is not the time to think about this. I have to report to my master. Please don't use any magic. After changing his clothes, Lord Jiao immediately returned to his room and sent a message to one of his masters. Master, the poison seems to have been drunk by me. After waiting for a long time, his master finally replied. Lord Jiao was a bit stupefied. I don't understand what these 6 dots mean, but no matter what, I still have to report back the message that I just received. Master, although the target did not die, his balls exploded. Lord Jiao's master clearly did not react to what Lord Jiao said, and was still thinking about what the word balls meant. After a long time, he replied, What do you mean? Lord Jiao wanted to give this master of mine a new definition. You don't even understand this. Don't tell me that you are still a virgin. The target might have become a eunuch right now. After finished speaking, Lord Jiao waited for a reply. As long as the target doesn't scold me and give me the antidote, it will be fine. Little Jiao, well done. Looking at the reply, Lord Jiao was very stupefied. What is going on? What do you want? Tell me. Anything is fine. Lord Jiao was stupefied. This might be a blessing in disguise. Chapter 175. Right now, Lu Bai was carrying enchanting on his back and flying towards the sea surface at high speed while muttering, Young master, hold on, we are almost there. If I knew that this would be the end result, I would have already persuaded young master to go back home. How am I going to explain such a big matter to him? In the sky, Lu Bai suddenly stopped and took out a token. A white halo appeared in front of him and directly passed through. It was still the sea surface, but there was an island not far away. There were ancient buildings built on the island, and a towering city gate extended to both sides of the island. Day and night, the city gate faced the sea and the sunrise. The city gate was grand and magnificent. There were more than 20 buildings on the city gate, but it didn't feel crowded or repetitive at all. There were pavilions, terraces, waterside pavilions, strange rocks, flower beds, and bonsai decorating the buildings. When the guards on the city gate saw someone flying over, they immediately raised their vigilance and shouted, Who are you? Quickly get out of the way. This is the second young master. Lu Bai shouted. The guards were startled and immediately kept their weapons and lowered their heads. Lu Bai didn't think too much and ran straight towards the center of the buildings. That was the resting place of Ying family's family master. As the family master of Ying family, Ying Jingshan didn't have many wives and concubines. In his entire life, he only had this one woman by his side, and her name was Yuhi. This was the woman that Ying Jingshan met when he went out to train. She didn't have an astonishing appearance, but she was able to move this man's heart. And Yuhi was just an ordinary person. Nestling in her husband's embrace, Yuhi slightly frowned and said, Jingshan, Won't Kong be wrong by marrying her? How can that be? The other party is Dongwang Baiji. There are countless men who want to marry her. Kong, or being able to have such a life, is also his fortune. Besides, this marriage is not bad. As the family master of Ing family, of course, he would consider everything. And as a mother, she would definitely only consider her son's happiness. Yuhi sighed lightly. But I keep feeling uneasy. I heard that this empress is very tyrannical. I'm afraid that Kong, will be at a disadvantage. Things will change after getting married. Right now, what we should be worrying about is Ho-er's marriage. Did he fancy any girl from any family? Ing Jingshan asked with a smile. Ing Jingshan still felt that his eldest son, Ing Ho, was more suitable to inherit his position. At first, he thought that his youngest son would be wronged, but he didn't expect that his youngest son would be marrying Donghuang Baiji. Looking at my eldest son's attitude today, it seems like he is unwilling to give up. Thinking about it, it makes sense. No matter how much power he has, conquering a woman like Donghuang Baiji is equivalent to conquering the world. Ho had been working hard since he was a child, striving to become the next patriarch of the Ing family. Kong, on the other hand, didn't work so hard. It seemed that he didn't want to be the next patriarch, nor did he want to fight for it. Now, things were great. With a single word from the Empress, his younger brother's status would far surpass his own. How could he be willing to accept this? If he did not work hard, he would soar into the sky in a single bound. Jingshan, I think it's better not to talk about Ho-er's marriage now. After all, Kong-er's partner is the Empress. It's inevitable that Ho-er will feel unbalanced. If he finds an ordinary woman, won't he be even angrier? I don't want to see the two brothers have a falling out. Although Yuha was an ordinary person, after marrying Ing Jingshan, she had slowly learned this kind of worldview. Ing Jingshan let out a deep sigh. I really don't know if this Empress words are good or bad. Our Ing family just wants to live peacefully, that's all. Whatever power struggle, let it be. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside. It had been a long time since something like this had happened in the Ing family. I'll go take a look, Ing Jingshan said in a deep voice. I'll go with you. The two of them put on their black silk nightgowns and walked out of the room. They immediately looked at Liu Bai and cried loudly, Patriarch, madam, quickly save young master, he's dying. Yi Zizi and Qing Yutong didn't go easy on Yi Zizi and Qing Yutong, especially Qing Yutong. She was stepping on Yi Zizi and Qing Yutong to death. If Qing Yutong knew that the one she stepped on this time was the second son of Ing family, would she have a different reaction? What's going on? Ing Jingshan shouted. He hurriedly checked on his son's injuries, and his expression was terrifyingly heavy. Liu Bai wailed loudly. Patriarch, young master is so pitiful. He was trampled on like this. Ing Jingshan's eyes widened as he bellowed. Quickly call divine Dr. Song over. When Yi took a closer look, she immediately had a feeling of dizziness. My son's crotch is filled with blood. After a while, divine Dr. Song arrived. At the same time, Marquis Ing also arrived. His appearance was slightly worse than Ing Kongshi's. There was a mole on his chin, and he gave off the feeling that he was a wily old fox. At the same time, the other members of the Ing family also arrived. Everyone sat in the great hall, waiting for the result. Liu Bai knelt in the center, sobbing quietly. Ing Jingshan fiercely slammed onto the table. What are you crying for? Tell me everything that happened in detail. While sobbing, Liu Bai narrated everything that happened in detail. He didn't add anything and didn't cut anything out. Honest people are easy to bully. All the members of the Ing family who were sitting in the hall knew that they stepped on an iron plate and got beaten up. A skinny middle-aged man took the initiative to voice out his opinion. His name was Ing Xiang, Ing Jingshan's younger brother. The Empress passed the news to me in the morning. It hasn't even been a day, and nephew Kong has already made such a joke out of himself. If the news were to reach the ears of the Empress, wouldn't that be bad? Is the son that my Ing family brought up to be like this? Ing Xiang's words had a bit of a taste of throwing stones at a person who was down, and there was even more of a hidden mockery hidden within. Marquis Ing, who was standing behind his father, didn't say anything. Right now, Silence spoke louder than words. Lu Bai, who was kneeling on the ground, spoke up for his master. Second young master went there to drink a few cups of wine because he was happy today. I reckon that he got drunk, and that's why he asked this lowly one to go and call those two girls over. Ing Shang was the third son, and he was a bit plump when he reached middle age. He could be heard saying unhurriedly, "Forget about the adult females. There was even an underage child among them. Big brother, if such a thing were to be spread out, it would be such a loss of face." Second young master really didn't have any other thoughts. At that time, this lowly one also didn't know what happened. Second young master's crotch suddenly caught on fire, and the two girls helped second young master to extinguish the fire. After fiercely kicking second young master's crotch, this lowly one didn't know why I couldn't move, and could only watch as second young master was being kicked alive. Lu Bai hurriedly spoke up for Ing Kongshu. Ing Jingshan took a deep breath and asked, "Were those two girls ordinary people?" Lu Bai nodded his head, expressing that he didn't notice anything strange. The first guess that appeared in Ing Jingshan's mind was that someone intentionally set up a trap. "Are there any other strange phenomena?" Yuha asked cleanly. There was a strange middle-aged waiter who had a restless expression on his face. Lu Bai recalled for a while and said. Marquis Ing, who didn't speak all along, paused for a moment. Ing Jingshan made a preliminary judgment. Seems like the news of going out today was found out by someone, and someone plotted against him. At this moment, an old man slowly walked into the hall and bowed towards everyone. "Divine Dr. Song, how is Kong Er's condition?" Yuha asked worriedly. Divine Dr. Song let out a sigh. "This old man has already tried his best. Second young master's lamp has been extinguished." Upon hearing this result, everything before Yua's eyes turned black, and she fainted. Yuha. Chapter 176. Yuha couldn't take this kind of blow and fainted. "My son is actually unable to have sex." Ing Jingshan carried his wife back to the room to rest, then came to the main hall. His face was terrifyingly gloomy. On the other hand, the other family members didn't seem to care much about it. To them, this might be an opportunity. Could it be that the Empress is going to marry a eunuch? How is that possible? He is not the only boy in the huge Ing family. Ing Xiang said, "Big brother, it has only been a day, and nephew Kong is already like this. How are we going to explain this to the Empress?" "That's right, big brother. It is already very shameful for such a thing to happen to Ing family. The betrothal gifts are going to be sent over tomorrow. Big brother, it is better for you to make plans as soon as possible." Ing Shang also followed and said, "If my son marries the Empress, that would be the rhythm of a meteoric rise. Furthermore, big brother only has 2 sons. One has become a eunuch, and the other has to marry out, leaving the position of the family head empty. Or continue to be the family head and let the other boys marry out. You can't have your cake and eat it too. This matter must be investigated thoroughly." "Ing Ho!" Ing Jingshan shouted gravely. "Yes, bring back the waiters of the bar and those 2 girls. I would like to see who dares to mess with our Ing family." Yes, it was impossible to find Jiu Yi. All of the register information was fake, and right now, Jiu Yi had already returned to Long and City in the middle of the night, and his boat was wiped clean. However, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were not that lucky. Ing Xiang said hurriedly, "Big brother, tracking down the culprit behind the scenes is important, but how do we answer the Empress tomorrow is also important. Let me think about it. All of you go and rest." Ing Jingshan waved his hand, feeling depressed in his heart. Unexpectedly, Ing Shang said, "Big brother, nephew Kong is going to hold a banquet at 3 Seasons Hotel tomorrow. Should we cancel this banquet? He is already like that. He can't even stand up, and there is still a banquet to celebrate. Celebrate that there is another father-in-law in this world? Cancel it," Ing Kongshu said, then left to take a look at his son's injuries. The other family members shook their heads, then left after chatting with Ing Ho for a bit. After everyone left, Ing Ho revealed a trace of a smile. "This Jiu Ye's way of handling things is really unexpected. This is even more ruthless than killing people. Presumably, those 2 girls should be called by Jiu Yi as well." What was so good about being the Ing family's patriarch? It was only interesting to be the Empress man. As for the two girls, of course, he couldn't capture them. If they confessed, he would be finished. Since that was the case, he could only kill them. Lord Gio still had some use for them, so he wouldn't kill them for now. In Ing Kongshi's room, Liu Bai accompanied him and took care of him attentively. Right now, young master's face was pale, and he already looked like a father-in-law. How miserable! How is it? Ing Jingshan walked over and asked. Liu Bai respectfully said, Divine Dr. Song said that second young master is fine and will wake up soon. Just as he finished speaking, Ing Kongshi, who was lying on the bed, woke up with a frown. Father Liu Bai, you guys are all here. Ing Kongshi said with a faint smile. He did not feel that he had lost an organ. Seeing the strange expression on the two people's faces, Ing Kongshi immediately recalled what happened just now. Lowering his head to take a look, I feel empty. Young master, don't touch it. Divine Dr. Song just applied the medicine. Liu Bai hurriedly warned. The corner of Ing Kongshi's mouth began to twitch. His crotch area was flat, and his facial expression changed drastically. Calm down. Ing Jingshan wasn't feeling well either. His son was crippled. Who would be able to accept it? Father, save me. I don't want to have no foundation. If I don't have any foundation, how am I going to marry the Empress? 2 hours ago, he was still having a sweet dream, fantasizing about the Empress's body, but now... what exactly happened? Ing Jingshan didn't want to give his son a blow. You definitely can't get married. Ing Kongshi's expression immediately became sinister. Father, it's those two women. Those two women did it on purpose. I'm going to hack them into pieces. I'm going to be a prostitute forever. I heard from Liu Bai that there was a 7 or 8 years old child among them. Ing Jingshan questioned. Although he felt heartache, he was also hateful. If it wasn't for you lusting after women, how could such a thing have happened? To actually lay your hands on a child, you have lost all your face. Ing Kongshi immediately thought of Yi Zizi's face, that petite figure and that pair of ponytails. It's a pity that it's impossible for me to grab onto those ponytails right now, not even in this lifetime. Father, I only invited them for a drink. I don't have any other motive. Ing Kongshi hurriedly explained. Ing Jingshan let out a deep sigh. Father, I still have to hold a banquet tomorrow. I will cancel it for you. You just have to properly recuperate at home. Ing Ho has already caught the person who injured you. After finished speaking, Ing Jingshan walked out. His mood was very bad. Cancel? How can I cancel it? If I do that, wouldn't I be ridiculed by everyone? Ridiculing me for standing up is better than ridiculing me for being a father-in-law. Ing Jingshan's thoughts were very simple. This matter can't be spread out. If there's a need, can't go out in this lifetime. Ing family can't afford to lose this face. However, this is impossible. Ing family is definitely going to lose this face. Young master, Liu Bai shouted out in concern. Ing Kongshi's eyes were lifeless. He wasn't stupid. Father's meaning just now was very clear. I who have no foundation, it's impossible for me to marry the Empress. I'm not resigned. I have to be so careful when I go out tonight. I must have been discovered by someone. Big Brother is the biggest suspect. Thinking back to Big Brother's expression in the morning, Ing Kongshi seemed to have already confirmed it, and thought silently in his heart. If I can't get it, don't even think about getting it. Looking at the young master's pair of gloomy and cold eyes, Liu Bai was endlessly worried. Within the Three Seasons Hotel, Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi took a bath and wore cute pajamas. It was normal for Ing Kongshi to have such a thought. Even if there wasn't Ing Kongshi, there would still be other tycoons who invited them, and the ending should be more or less the same. Ing Kongshi can only blame himself for being too unlucky. He is destined to not be able to become the Empress man. Zizi, you were really smart just now. Qin Yutong pinched onto Yi Zizi's little face. Originally, when she saw Yi Zizi playing with a lighter, she conveniently knocked over the wine glass, and very quickly, Yi Zizi's little hand trembled, causing the lighter to fall onto the glass. One could well imagine what would happen if the two of them were to stay together. This was also the reason why Yi Hua didn't want Yi Zizi and Qing Yutong to be together. To Yi Zizi, this was just a child's play. Yi Zizi revealed out two cute little dimples. Humph, Zizi has long been unable to stand the sight of him. Originally, I wanted to burn him with fire. Damn, Zizi, you were so violent, this won't do. Girls have to be more obedient. Qing Yutong guided attentively. Big sister Qing, Zizi learned it from you. You are so straightforward when you step on him. Qing Yutong's eyebrows twitched. Yi Zizi immediately understood. The two turned on their computers. It was impossible for them not to eat chicken before going to bed. Chapter 177. This person was dressed in black, and he hid well in the dark. An assassin like him didn't need to sneak in at all. He could just fly up and enter through the window. The mission this time was just two ordinary people. It was too easy. Gently floating on the balcony, the black-clothed man took out a short dagger and smeared a layer of poison on it, killing without leaving a trace. Sneaking a peek at the room at the side, the lights were still on. The man in black started to walk into the room with a sinister smile on his face. However, Zizi, there's someone outside the window. Qing Yutong could be heard shouting out while wearing earphones. The man in black was shocked. How did they find him? Didn't the intelligence say that they were two ordinary people? Yi Zizi controlled her character and shouted, I heard a long time ago. Watch how I kill you. The man in black turned pale with fright and immediately lay on the balcony. He had encountered two troublesome people. Qing Yutong could be heard shouting out, Do you think that I won't be able to see you just because you are lying on the ground? The man in black was about to go crazy. He hadn't even found the target yet, but the target had found him. What was the killer most worried about? Exposing his identity. After waiting for a while, the assassin in black felt that it was quiet again. Could it be that he was hallucinating? That should be the case. Those were all auditory hallucinations. How could he have been discovered? Sneaking into the room, he saw that the lights in the living room were off, but the bedroom was on. It seemed that he was inside. The black-clothed assassin revealed a cruel smile and subconsciously licked the blade. Something doesn't feel right. It seemed like he had smeared poison on it. TMD. His mind was unsettled by what he did just now, and he was actually licking poison. The black-clothed assassin immediately took out the antidote and drank it. He heaved a sigh of relief and went back to the bedroom. There are footsteps. Qing Yutong could be heard shouting out. The man in black was so scared that he leaned against the wall. They were really powerful. His footsteps were almost silent, but they could actually hear him. Yi Zizi giggled and said, Sister Qing, we've stopped a fool. The black-robed man's expression changed. Could this be a trap? He actually jumped into someone else's trap. Zizi, don't move. Wait for me to get my weapon. I'm going to blow his head off today. Qing Yutong's delicate shout rang out again, and this frightened the black-clothed man. He had really fallen into someone else's trap. No, this mission was too difficult. He had to call for more helpers. The man in black took small steps, preparing to slip away. You still want to run? Zizi, blow his head off. Okay, the man in black couldn't care less and directly broke through the window. There were many traps inside. The information was wrong. He had to rethink the plan. Within the bedroom, Qing Yutong wrinkled her brows and looked towards Yi Zizi. Zizi, I just heard the sound of someone jumping out of the window. Yi Zizi blinked her eyes towards Qing Yutong. It seems like someone jumped out of the window. Seems like there are still people in Pochinki. Qing Yutong let out a breath. However, the two of them had an evil smile on their faces. This game was simply too fun. The room at the side was precisely Yi Hua's room. The sound of the window breaking caused Yi Hua to open his eyes, then casually waved his hand. The black-clothed man, who was rejoicing over his escape, gradually disappeared as he flew. It was truly a painless death. Lightly caressing the woman in his embrace, Yi Hua noticed that she was not woken up by the commotion. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth curved upwards. Yi Hua, someone jumped out of the window. Quickly come over. Qing pursed her lips. Seems like she was sleep-talking. Yi Hua shook his head helplessly. Even in his dreams, I always think about playing games. Luckily, I'm still inside. Yihua, how did your head get blown off? I will help you take revenge. Yihua, this foolish woman. I really want to slap her awake and properly teach her a lesson. In the morning, Qinya woke up very early. Because today was a good day, taking wedding photos, just thinking about it made her excited. Qinya could be seen to have already changed her clothes and pulled onto Yihua, who was on the bed. Yihua, quickly get up. Are you crazy? It is only 6 a.m. right now. Yihua said gravely. Qinya shook onto Yihua's arm. Hubby, I am excited. Quickly get up. I really can't stand you. Yihua sat on the bed, held on to Qinya's waist, and immediately kissed her. Are you satisfied now? Quickly get up. Qinya rolled her eyes at Yihua. Messing around so early in the morning, he is really getting more and more excessive. However, I really like the current version of Yihua. It is much better than the previous version. Yihua let out a sigh. After washing up, he brought Qinya to wake up the other two. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi only slept at 4 a.m., and they had only slept for 2 hours now, and they were even pulled up. Why is your window broken? Qinya asked curiously. Yi Zizi walked out of the room with her eyes closed while hugging onto the little teddy bear. Qing Yutong even wore an eye mask and hugged onto the quilt. After the two walked out of the room, they immediately fell onto the sofa, looking as if they wouldn't get up even if they were beaten to death. Yihua walked to the side of the window and lit up a cigarette. Who is it that wants to make a move on them? This is really a bit interesting. Under Qing Ye's various tricks, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi finally put on their clothes and walked out of the room. Yi Zizi was still walking like a little princess, but what was different was that today she was hugging onto a little teddy bear. Qing Yutong finally returned to normal, and when she wore a long dress, she looked a bit like a fairy. The breakfast in the hotel was all free, and it belonged to the self-service mode. When Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi saw the delicious food, they immediately came back to life. Meanwhile, Yihua occupied the seat and continued to act like a master. What is the biggest use of a wife? That is to hug the wife to sleep at night and serve the wife during the day. That would be meaningless. How could Qinya not know Yihua's character? She gave Yihua a deep-fried dough stick and a bowl of porridge. Okay. Yihua took a look at his, then looked at the other threes. What is this for me? Big brother is so stupid. This is breakfast. Zizi said with a smile. Yihua glared at her, and the latter immediately shrunk back. Qinya laughed. All right. I was just joking with you. I will help you get the breakfast. What do you want to eat? Forget it. I don't have much appetite if I wake up too early. Yihua said faintly, then drank a few mouthfuls of porridge. Qing Yutong sized up the surroundings. Yesterday, the hotel was still filled with people. Why is there a lot less people today? Brother-in-law, don't you feel that this hotel is a bit weird today? Qing Yutong asked curiously. Yihua had felt it a long time ago, but he didn't put it to heart. Suddenly, two men sat behind Yihua's table with breakfast in their hands and whispered to each other. I heard that today's banquet was canceled, causing me to rush over here in a hurry. I still have to rush back to attend a parent-teacher conference for my child today. Isn't it the same for me? I didn't even participate in the group's expedition yesterday night. It is said that the second young master's balls were burst by someone. That's why today's banquet was canceled. Is that true or false? His balls were burst by someone? Who is so awesome? The Cultivation World's forum is in an uproar. Someone said that this second young master molested an underage girl. 666. The man who is going to marry the Empress is still like this. Awesome. That's right. Isn't he afraid that the Empress would roast him? When Yihua heard about the underage girl, he looked towards Yi Zizi and thought about the assassin from yesterday night. Needless to say, it was definitely done by these two people. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi silently ate their breakfast, not knowing what was going on. Chapter 178. What are the arrangements for today? Yihua asked lightly. Qinya wiped her sexy little mouth. I have already contacted them just now. Today, we will be shooting indoors. Tomorrow, we will be shooting outdoors. The two of you are off today. Yutong, take good care of Zizi. All right. Qing Yutong nodded her head. Does Zizi still need someone to look after him? When Zizi heard that she could play, she became excited again. She felt that the person she trampled yesterday should be a big shot. If she wasn't wrong, there should be more to it. She had to properly discuss with Big Sister Qing about how to play the person to death. Just thinking about it made her excited. It was a pity that the big bone dragon and gluttonous monster weren't able to come. One day. There is still one more day, tomorrow. Can it be completed within an hour? Yihua found it hard to believe. Just taking a photo actually takes 2 days. He could watch many episodes of Calabash Brothers, saving Grandpa in the next 2 days. Qingya knew that Yihua was getting impatient, and as if she was coaxing a child, she said, "It will be very quick. It will only take around 10 sets of clothes. And furthermore, you will be able to carry me for the entire journey. That's more like it." Qingya felt a bit of a headache. This husband of mine is too clingy. Looking at his posture, he seems to be wishing that he could hug on me 24/7. He is becoming more and more adorable, especially when he is putting on a straight face. If Dongwang Baiji were to hear Qingya's inner voice, just thinking about how Dongwang Baiji would react was a bit exciting. Seeing that they were almost done eating, Qing Yutong pulled Zizi up and said, "We are full. We're going back to our room to sleep. Remember to have the glass changed. It's dangerous." Qingya warned. "All right, eldest cousin, eldest sister-in-law, Zizi will not accompany you anymore." Zizi waved the teddy bear in her hand and said with a smile. On the other hand, Qingya was all smiles. Xiao Zizi is truly adorable, scary. In order to obtain more accurate information, Yihua first contacted Wei Chong. "Is there any information?" "Your Honor, give subordinate 1 minute." Wei Chong immediately contacted Death Mage. "Is there any information?" Right now, Death Mage wasn't staying in the park anymore. He was staying in a hotel. Although the hotel wasn't very high class, at least he had a bed. "Yes. In the south, Sanya seems to be making a big move. I thought they were going to fight, but half of them left this morning. It was good that there was information, but he was afraid that there would be none." Wei Chong said, Good job. Keep an eye on him." "Yes, Master." Death Mage took a look at Sun Fong, who was beside him, who was still unconscious, then went back to focusing on playing the game for 100 years. "I didn't expect that this kind of information would actually be praised by my master. Not bad." Wei Chong passed the information back to Yihua, and Yihua praised Wei Chong. "Finally, Wei Chong has done his job well. However, I still need to investigate further." Then, Wei Chong gave the order to Death Mage. Death Mage, who was lying on the bed, naturally accepted the order unconditionally. However, right now, he had a bit of a temper. GGG Royal Translation. What kind of lousy game is this? It has never King one before. You want to cheat me of my money? I'll uninstall it and leave the mobile game world. After saying that, Death Mage really uninstalled the game. This kind of determination was really scary. Opening up the international news, Death Mage began to skim through it. This is also a skeleton that worries about the world's affairs. Suddenly, an advertisement attracted Death Mage's attention. "Good big scum. I'm Scum. I've acted in many dramas, but games. I like to play around with the Blue Moon, wine, luminous cups, equipment recycling, and earning money as soon as I enter the server. It's not a dream." Death Mage was attracted by the advertisement in front of him. The main thing was that he would be able to earn money by entering the server. Was this game really that powerful? Death Mage, who swore that he would not play mobile games, just now immediately downloaded the game. He felt that the game was not bad, and he rushed to 648 renminbi first. "I didn't expect that there would still be a refund. This game is really not bad. It should be said that it is a game with a conscience." Death Mage was very happy. Of course, the character he chose was a warrior. First, he bought all sorts of equipment, followed the quest, and then went on a killing spree. It felt great. F***CK. Fishing was simply rubbish. Only this playful on you was interesting. "What game is this?" Sun Fong suddenly asked as she looked at her phone screen. GGG, Royal Translation. A game that can make money. Sun Fong looked at it and suddenly had an idea. This seemed to be a fighting game. If I can't kill you in real life, can I kill you in the game? Just you wait, I'll play too. After saying that, Sun Fong leaned against the headboard of the bed and took out her phone to download the game. She even specially asked Death Mage which region he was at, then secretly entered the server and prepared to directly attack the root of the problem. Dong dong dong. A series of knocks sounded from the door. Death Mage, who was currently playing enthusiastically, slammed open the door. Dofusher walked into the room with an excited look on his face. Soon after, he covered his face with his hands. I'm still a child. Is it really all right for you two to be like this? Sun Fong seemed to have become numb as she leaned against the headboard of the bed and asked faintly, What's the matter? Dofusher said with a serious expression, Sister-in-law, I just did a divination. Today, we will have good fortune. Sun Fong silently tapped on the button to top up her account. 648 renminbi was gone. Oh, seeing that the two people on the bed didn't seem to have any intention of getting up, Dofusher felt very hurt. Big brother, sister-in-law, I can't keep supporting the two of you forever. There will be a day when I will also run out of money. Huh, huh, huh. The sound of a warrior hacking rang out from the speaker. Dofusher was a bit in despair. These two blood-sucking bugs. If we succeed today, big brother, sister-in-law, you don't have to worry about the problem of topping up your account in the future. Becoming number one in the entire server would not be a problem at all. As expected, Death Mage and Sun Fong slightly raised their heads. Death Mage thought about becoming number one in the entire server. Sun Fong thought about killing the number one in the entire server. Sun Fong typed on her phone, Do it. Dofusher was overjoyed, and he hurriedly said, I divine that there will be good fortune coming from the north today. It must be some expert. Big brother, sister-in-law, your battle prowess is very high. As long as we intercept it, you won't have to worry about food and clothing in the future. As long as Sun Fong was able to get rid of the skeletons beside her, she was willing to do anything. Open your mouth. Sun Fong said faintly. Open your mouth. Dofusher helplessly opened his mouth. Sun Fong swung her hand, and Dofusher felt that something was swallowed by her. You have already eaten my dying pill. If you dare to lie to me, I will not give you the antidote. Sun Fong shouted out coldly, and at this moment, her sect master's aura exploded out. Dofusher immediately swore that he wouldn't lie to anyone. Go out and wait, Sun Fong said coldly. After Dofusher left, Sun Fong took out the malt sprout that was hidden in her blanket and ate one. The taste is not bad. GGG, Imperial Translation. This move is brilliant. Sun Fong took a glare at Death Mage. Jijia my ass, hurry up and get to work. After finished speaking, Sun Fong got off the bed and changed her clothes, not even bothering to avoid Death Mage. Death Mage immediately turned his head around. This shameless woman actually dares to seduce me in broad daylight. Although I am just a skeleton, I have trained my hand speed while fishing, and on average, I am able to vibrate 100 times per second. I can control the depth of the vibrations, and I guarantee that you won't be able to let go of the vibrations. After Sun Fong finished wearing her clothes, when she turned her head around and saw Death Mage looking outside the window, she snorted. Chapter 179. The three of them walked out of this ordinary hotel and headed towards the suburbs. Death Mage now knew to wear a mask and gloves when he went out. Actually, these were prepared by Sun Fong to prevent unnecessary trouble. The driver was a little worried. These three people are so weird. The young man in the front seems to be calculating something with his right hand, but why does it feel like his hand is cramping and his complexion doesn't look good? There is a black robe wearing a mask sitting at the back. The moment he got on the car, he was playing a game on his phone. The sound was so loud that it would let out weird sound from time to time, causing one's hair to stand on end. Only this woman was so beautiful, like a fairy. However, she was also playing on her phone after getting on the car. Listening to the sound of the game, it seems to be the same game as the black robe. Could it be the playful Lanyu? The more they drove, the more remote the car became. The driver's forehead was filled with sweat. Could it be that she is a robber? Stop! Do Fusher immediately shouted. The driver suddenly stopped, causing the two behind to crash into each other. However, they didn't mind. Sun Fong pulled on Death Mage's robe and said, "Transfer 2,000 to me." Sun Fong didn't have any money to top up, so how could she kill him? Death Mage wasn't a stingy person and directly transferred 4,000 over. Anyways, he was going to be rich later. The three of them got off the car. The driver stepped on the accelerator. He didn't want to see the three of them anymore. Do Fusher took out a compass and shouted, "Find the dragon by looking at the coiled mountain. Every coiled mountain is a checkpoint. If there are 1,000 locks on the door, there will definitely be a king living here." Death Mage didn't understand. Sun Fong slowly raised her head and asked, "Isn't this the chant for finding tunes? What does it have to do with this robbery?" Do Fusher laughed. "Sister-in-law, this chant of mine is very flexible. It can even be used in casinos. Aren't you a ghost hunter?" Sun Fong laughed and continued playing her game. "Sister-in-law, these days aren't good. Other than catching ghosts, I also need to earn some extra money. I just go to some tombs and sell some jewelry to earn some money." Do Fusher let out a long sigh. Novels were all full of lies. How could there be so many tombs? Even if there were, they would have been emptied long ago. If he went there, he wouldn't even be able to find anything. He wanted to subdue some ghosts in the tombs, but he didn't even see a single strand of hair. How could he not be angry? Sun Fong received the money that Death Mage had transferred to her. "This skeleton is quite generous. I didn't think too much about it," and charged 4,000 renminbi to Death Mage. Combine equipment. The three of them walked further and further away, and Do Fusher shouted with the compass in his hand, "Right here." Death Mage and Sun Fong sized up the place. "What kind of place is this? Rundown factory? Why did you bring us here? Is there gold underground?" Sun Fong asked in a sweet voice. Do Fusher raised his index finger and shook it. "Big brother, sister-in-law, there is no gold on the ground, but there is gold in the sky." Death Mage kept his phone and said, "GGG, the Imperial translation. Interesting." Sun Fong also felt it, and a look of disdain appeared on her face. Bang! Do Fusher watched as his big brother and sister-in-law soared into the clouds and shouted, "Big brother, sister-in-law, bring little brother up. I don't know how to fly." Death Mage and Sun Fong, who had soared into the clouds, stared at the empty space in front of them. Death Scythe immediately appeared in Sun Fong's hands, and with a flick of her hand, the purple gold-treasured sword appeared in Sun Fong's hands. Who dares to stop Voidless Realm? Immediately, 50 people who wore red gowns could be seen appearing in the empty space, and among them, 30 of them were carrying boxes made from top-notch mahogany. Without needing to think too much, one would be able to guess what was inside the boxes. The other 20 people were guards, and when they saw a black gown man and a woman appearing, they immediately pulled out their swords. However, one shouldn't look down on those 30 people. They put down the betrothal gifts on their shoulders and pulled out their weapons one after another. Hearing that the other party had revealed their name, Sun Fong, who was the sect master, naturally knew what kind of existence Voidless Realm was. Trying to provoke them was no different from courting death. However, she didn't expect that the ones who wanted to rob them would be them. This is truly the will of the heavens. But what did that matter? I hope that this Voidless Realm has some ability and snatch their goods, then send out an even more powerful existence to get rid of me and Death Mage. Death Mage took out his phone unhurriedly and started typing. Then his phone lit up and colorful words appeared on the screen, "Robbery." However, Sun Fong's speed was even faster, and she had already rushed into the crowd. Sun Fong herself was a sect master, and adding on the fact that she had broken through that day, her current strength was completely capable of fighting against Xiao Yi, and she might even be able to gain the upper hand. If she also had an ancient godly item, she might even be able to defeat Xiao Yi. However, Death Mage had the ability to instantly kill Xiao Yi. There was still a gap between them. Looking at Sun Fong dancing in the crowd, blood splattering all over the place, and limbs flying all over the place, Death Mage was a bit dazed. At this moment, this woman suddenly looks so beautiful, especially when the enemy's blood splattered onto her spotlessly white cheeks, and her inhumane gaze. It's too alluring. Dofusher still didn't know what was happening in the sky, and he was anxiously waiting below. When he raised his head to take a look, a black dot suddenly appeared in the sky. Dofusher wrinkled his brows. What is that black dot? As the black dot got closer and closer, Dofusher was startled. That black dot is actually a severed arm. Dofusher immediately dodged, and soon after, even more severed arms appeared in the sky, frightening Dofusher to the point that he hid in a corner and shivered. This malicious ghost couple is too terrifying. In the blink of an eye, only 10 people remained out of the 50 people. Sun Fong felt very happy in her heart, and the pain that she had been suppressing in her heart exploded out at this moment, and she felt a lot more comfortable. You all sure have guts. Not only did you all steal Voidless Realms goods, you all even killed Voidless Realms people. Just wait for your deaths. One of the men shouted out loudly, then nodded his head towards the other men, then scattered in all directions to go back and report what happened. Sun Fong swung her slender hand, and the purple gold treasured sword transformed into a rainbow and pierced through one of the men's body. However, the other men were unable to be killed. Death Mage was very disdainful. What bullshit, Voidless Realm. My master is able to exterminate you all with just a single move, and Maya's honor is able to exterminate you all with just a single word. And me, GGG Imperial Translation, Tentacles of Darkness. Countless big, round, and thick tentacles appeared out of thin air and attacked towards all directions. Back then, this move scared Xiao Yi to the point that he had to flee in all directions. Facing against the unparalleled Death Mage, Voidless Realms people were unable to resist at all. Their bodies were pierced through, and in the end, they were devoured by the tentacles. This move is very similar to Wei Chong. This was the first time that Sun Fong saw Death Mage using a technique, and she thought to herself, what would happen if I were to face Death Mage's technique head-on? If my speed isn't fast enough, I will end up the same as them. This damned skeleton, how could he be so powerful? After recalling back the tentacles of darkness, Death Mage looked towards Sun Fong. Are you afraid of so many tentacles? Just think about the consequences. Death Mage waved his hand, and the 15 chests of betrothal gifts that were in the air descended onto the ground along with Death Mage. Sun Fong let out a sigh, then descended onto the ground as well. Upon seeing that, Dofusher immediately ran over. Big brother, sister-in-law, you two are too awesome. Chapter 180. Looking at the ancient godly item in the last chest, Dofusher was already scared to the point that he took a few steps back. If it was gold, it would still be fine, but the more he looked at it, the more shocked he became. Sun Fong walked to the last chest and saw that there was a feather fan inside. Sun Fong held onto the feather fan and fanned it towards the abandoned factory. Boom! The entire factory rose from the ground. Dofusher was dumbfounded. As Sun Fong fanned the fan again, the factory that rose from the ground suddenly fell down, raising a cloud of dust. When the cloud of dust dispersed, the entire factory had already turned into a thin biscuit. As expected of an ancient godly item, God Leaf Fan, Sun Fong said. Dofusher was already scared to the point that he sat on the ground and asked, just whose goods did you guys steal? Voidless Realm. Sun Fong lightly swayed the God Leaf Fan in her hand. Dofusher was confused. I have never heard of such a sect before. A big shot that is above aristocratic families. Sun Fong added with a smile. Pooh! Dofusher felt that the world was spinning. I have only heard of aristocratic families before, and now I even stole a big shot that is above aristocratic families. I'm finished. Let me die from the poison. Perhaps this kind of death will be painless. Suddenly, Sun Fong's gaze turned cold, and she fanned the God Leaf Fan in her hand towards Death Mage. Dofusher, who was at the side, was stupefied. Just what is going on between the two of them? Just a moment ago, they even joined hands to steal. Could it be that sister-in-law is going to take everything for herself? That's why she killed my big brother, but why didn't she kill me? Could it be? Could it be that sister-in-law took a fancy to my beauty and killed my big brother just to let me take over? Damn, sister-in-law is such a woman. Do Fusher, will also reluctantly accept your love. Looking at Death Mage, who turned into a shooting star in the sky, a trace of an arc finally appeared on Sun Fang's face. However, in less than a second, the arc disappeared, because that skeletal hand wrapped around my waist again, and that skeletal face is also getting closer to me. I didn't expect that even an ancient godly item would be unable to do anything to it. Let me faint. But this time I won't faint. I can even feel my lips. I really want to die. Do Fusher turned his face away. Big brother is too awesome. I have decided to reject sister-in-law's love and follow big brother's footsteps. Eldest sister-in-law. Eldest brother is handsome and confident. You should forget younger brother. Younger brother can't withstand your love. She looked at her sister-in-law, hugging her brother's neck as if they were in a passionate kiss. I'm still a child. Is it really okay for you to be like this? Shouldn't he be worried about the revenge of others? In any case, it's good to at least put on an act. It's not like I'm worried anymore. Imperial translation. The taste is not bad. Sun Fang flew into a rage out of humiliation. After being forcefully kissed by a skeleton so many times, how could she not be angry? He raised the God Leaf fan in his hand again. However, Death Mage immediately grabbed on her wrist and typed, "This lousy fan is useless against me. You can just be at ease and be my wife." Honey, since when did I become your wife? You shameless skeleton. However, when he thought about it, wouldn't it be more helpful if he had a deeper understanding of it? At that time, he would know its weakness and kill it in one strike. This idea seems to be pretty good. I don't refute the word wife anymore. Death Mage waved his hand and kept the 15 boxes of betrothal gifts. I definitely have to keep one for myself, and I also have to give some to my master. After all, his honor is so concerned about his subordinate. Although these betrothal gifts aren't anything good, I still have to express my respect and worship towards his honor. Ing family, right now, with Ing Jingshan in the lead and Ing family's relatives standing behind him. All of them were dressed in gorgeous clothing as they walked out of the city to welcome Ing Jingshan. What was rare was that Ing Kongsher was also within the group. Ing Kongsher's face was pale and weak, and he already looked like a father-in-law. Little brother, if you're not feeling well, you can rest in the house. Big brother will help you, Marquis Ing said with a slight smile. However, in his heart, he was feeling uneasy. The assassin that I sent out yesterday still hasn't returned. Most likely, an accident happened to him. Ing Kongsher sneered. Big brother doesn't have to worry. I will take care of my own matters. But what are you going to do now that you are like this? Marquis Ing said with heartache. Ing Kongsher tightly clenched his fists. The enmity of my heart being destroyed is absolutely irreconcilable. It is definitely you. At this moment, Ing Xiang slowly walked out from the group. Big brother, the auspicious hour is already over. Why isn't the assassin here yet? Ing Jingshan looked towards the distance and said faintly, "Let's wait for a while more." After around half an hour passed, everyone from Ing family was getting a bit impatient. Setting up such a big formation is already giving a lot of face, but the other party actually didn't even send a single person over. This is going too far. I'm afraid that the Empress already knows about what happened last night, yet she didn't even give us a greeting and told us to wait. She's truly not putting us, Ing family, in her eyes. Ing Shang couldn't hold it in anymore and started scolding. Ing Jingshan wrinkled his brows and called out, "Her, go outside and see if there are any abnormalities." Yes. Ing Ho could be seen rushing out with the Imperial Guards. Death Mage, who was currently taking a taxi back to the hotel, sensed Ing Ho's actions, but he didn't take it to heart. The game is more important. Not long after, Ing Ho discovered the corpses of the Voidless Realms people. Just who dares to disrupt the marriage between the two families? That person is going against me, and those who go against me will never have a good ending. When Ing Ho hurriedly went back to report what happened, Ing Jingshan took a deep breath. My youngest son was crippled, the betrothal gift was stolen, and the person was killed. This matter isn't as simple as it seems on the surface. Voidless Realm. Right now, Dongwang Baiji was currently sitting on the purple gold throne and discussing about what happened last night with the 8 elders. Your Majesty, I truly didn't expect that Ing family's second young master would have such a moral character. Subordinate has failed in his duty. Yuanda prostrated on the ground and said with an ashamed look on his face. Xing Han said gravely, Your Majesty, although this second young master's moral character is extremely bad, from this matter, it can be seen that someone is trying to disrupt the marriage. The biggest suspect would be Ji family. A bald elder walked out from the crowd and said, his name was He Xian. Dongwang Baiji didn't say anything. She didn't put this matter in her heart. She was only thinking about her daughter's problem. Yesterday, I seem to have hurt her heart. But right now, the betrothal gift has already been sent out. What should we do? Yuanda said anxiously, as if his empress was unable to marry a man. Xing Han begged, Your Majesty, Ing family's second young master is unable to be a man. We can only choose someone else. Your Majesty, what do you think? Dongwang Baiji said faintly, You guys can do as you see fit. Everyone was overjoyed. Your Majesty has grown up now, and she knows what is important. Wrong. Dongwang Baiji just gave up. Chapter 181. Revenge. Right now, Dongwang Baiji's mind was filled with thoughts of revenge. However, the original revenge plan was to appear in front of that man from above and let him know what kind of woman he had missed back then, a woman that everyone wanted. It's a pity that you missed it, so don't even think about getting it again. Right now, Dongwang Baiji's mind was filled with Yi Hua's emotionless face. Report. A guard ran into the hall at top speed. What is it? Dongwang Baiji asked coldly. I just received news from Ing family, the betrothal gifts that were sent over to Ing family. The Imperial Guard didn't dare to say anything, because such a thing had never happened before. Did he fall in the water? Yuanda asked in a deep voice. Xing Han asked curiously, You fell into the river? He Xian was speechless. May I ask what's the difference between the two? The winner is on the sea, and if he falls, he will fall into the sea. Yuanda and Xing Han looked at He Xian at the same time. Dare I ask you, what's the difference? The betrothal gifts have been stolen. Everyone was killed. As the guard revealed the truth, the entire palace instantly quietened down. Even the sound of a needle dropping on the floor could be heard clearly. He actually dares to snatch Voidless Realms things, and after snatching them, he even killed all of them. This slap didn't hurt, but it was very loud. Dongwang Baiji immediately burst out with fierce killing intent, and her tone seemed to be able to freeze the air. Who did this? The guards were all frightened by the Empress's aura. No, I don't know. Yuanda cupped his hands and said, Your Majesty, this matter must be related to last night. As long as we capture those 2 girls, the truth will come to light. Remember, no one is allowed to trample on the Dongwang family. Dongwang Baiji shouted out gravely. Who would be able to stop a woman with such an imposing aura? Yes, the 8 old men shouted in unison. Just as the 8 old men were about to leave, a maid hurriedly ran in. Seeing this maid, Dongwang Baiji's brows tightly wrinkled. This servant greets Your Majesty. Dongwang Baiji had a bad feeling. What's going on? His Highness she... What's wrong with her? Dongwang Baiji's beautiful eyes widened, and a powerful pressure burst out from her body, causing the entire palace to tremble. This was even more terrifying than before. His Highness has disappeared. Dongwang Baiji clenched her fists tightly and shouted out angrily, Stop everything! Bring Ali back for me. Yuanda hurriedly said, Your Majesty, His Royal Highness must be playing around and hiding somewhere. I will order some people to look for him. An invisible hand instantly grabbed Yuanda's neck, and his whole body was suspended in the air. I'll say it again. Everyone go, and find Ali. Those who disobey will be beheaded. Dongwang Baiji frowned. Her beautiful lips were slightly trembling, and her beautiful eyes were like flames. Ali was her lifeblood. Without Ali, she would have died a long time ago. With a casual fling of his hand, Yuanda crashed into the side of the palace like a cannonball. Listen up, all of you. There are some things that are not up to you all to decide. Dong Wang Baiji shouted out gravely, then disappeared from the palace and arrived at her daughter's courtyard. The remaining 7 elders didn't dare say anything else. The Empress' fury this time was inconceivable to all of them, but it had also indirectly taught them a lesson. In the end, they were only subordinates. Don't forget who you are. Right now, Dong Wang Li had long left Voidless Realm and appeared at the desert outside. Under the scorching sun, a small figure was silently walking on the desert. While throwing a small stone, the figure said with a childish voice, "Mother will be happy if Ali is gone." Wiping off the sweat on her forehead, Dong Wang Li raised her head and looked at the sun, so hot. If it rains right now, it would be great. Boom, boom, boom. Thunder actually sounded out in the clear sky. A black cloud suddenly appeared, and a violent wind and heavy rain instantly fell down. Dong Wang Li was stupefied, and she immediately felt very dizzy. She closed her eyes and held on her head as she ran madly. Ali doesn't want the rain anymore. Ali wants to leave this desert. By a little, Ali went into a daze. The rain seems to have stopped. Where am I? There's a road. There's also a prairie. But Ali's head feels very dizzy. I can't take it anymore. Ali is going to faint. Little Ali was finally unable to resist the dizziness and fell onto the roadside. At this moment, a godly chariot came over from afar. "Big brother, quickly look at the roadside. There's a person," the young man who was sitting on the front passenger seat said, and his head was dyed red. The big brother who was driving the car was the same as well, just that it wasn't red but red. From the looks of it, the two of them should be from the same family. After parking the car at the roadside, the two of them took a look at Ali, who had fainted. "Big brother, what should we do? What else can we do? Why are you so stupid? Bring her onto the car." As the big brother, he felt very pained at why his little brother was so stupid. This little girl couldn't have gotten lost, right? After carrying Dong Wang Li onto the car, the little brother asked curiously. The big brother lit up a cigarette. "It should be, let's ask the little girl when she wakes up. I reckon that her parents are quite anxious right now." "Big brother, you are such a good person. I admire you so much." The big brother couldn't help but give the little brother a head explode. "Are you stupid? This girl is dressed gorgeously. She definitely isn't a child from an ordinary family. If we were to find her parents, wouldn't her parents give us a reward?" The little brother immediately came to a realization, then raised up his thumb. Big brother is wise. This little brother is completely convinced. Learn more. Yes, yes, yes. Not knowing how long had passed, Dong Wang Li faintly woke up. Rubbing on her head, Dong Wang Li said with a childish voice, "Ali, where is this?" The two young men in front were startled, then immediately stopped the car at the roadside. "Little friend, you woke up?" the big brother asked with a smile. Ali pursed her lips. "Uncle Green, hello." "Big brother," the little brother slapped on his thigh and laughed loudly. "Uncle Green, haha." The big brother stretched out his hand and slapped onto Ali's thigh. "What do you guys know? This is the most popular color this year." Ali sat on the car obediently and sized up Ali with her big eyes curiously. "Little friend, what is your name?" Big brother Green asked with a smile. "Uncle Green, my name is Ali." The little brother's thigh was almost swollen from the slap. "Why is Uncle Red crying?" Ali asked curiously. Big brother Green said with a smile, "Uncle Red's wife made him a cuckold." Dong Wang Li was confused. The red-haired little brother went into a daze for a moment, feeling that something was wrong. "Ali, where are your daddy and mommy?" Big brother Green asked. "Such an adorable little girl. I have to quickly return her to her parents' side so that I can earn some money." Ali pouted her small mouth. "I hate them." The green and red duo sighed. It seems like she ran away in a fit of pique. This kind of little friend should be fine after coaxing her a bit. The red-haired little brother wiped onto his tears. "Ali, what you are doing is wrong. Your daddy and mommy must be very worried about you." "They wouldn't be worried about Ali." While speaking, Ali's eyes became red. Chapter 182. Yes, thank you, Uncle Green. Ali rubbed her eyes. This was the first time she had eaten a lollipop, and it felt great. While eating, Ali felt very hungry. Embarrassed, he said, Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ali is hungry. No problem. What do you want to eat? Ali pursed her lips. Ali wants to eat McDonald's. The big brother and the little brother looked at each other. This McDonald's was not cheap, but as long as they took good care of this little devil, they would definitely be able to recoup the cost. Not only did they recoup their costs, but they could also make a huge profit. Right now, the most important task was to go to the city. The surrounding counties were all small and couldn't satisfy the little ancestors' requirements. Big brother, the journey to the city is very long. We have to refuel. Little brother Red took out his wallet, and within the wallet, there was only a single red banknote and a few shriveled up 5 renminbi, 1 renminbi, etc. Big brother Green made up his mind. If you don't sacrifice the child, you can't catch the wolf. This time, he put in a lot of effort. He took out his wallet and handed it to his underling. Give me some money. When he opened the wallet, he saw 5 red notes inside. Little brother Red exclaimed, You borrowed 50 yuan from me this morning. You actually have 500 yuan. Is that so? I might have forgotten. Big brother Green was a bit embarrassed. Along the way, he added 200 yuan to the gas tank and instantly regained his confidence. He charged all the way to the city. Dong Wangli leaned on the window of the car and curiously sized up the steel city. Dong Wangli's gaze was filled with curiosity. The outside world is much better than Voidless Realm. There are all sorts of strange things here. The 2 people who were driving also looked around curiously. The way the people in the city dressed was so old-fashioned and not classy at all. They should learn from us and dye their hair in bright colors. Only then would they be able to attract the opposite sex. All the girls in the village were stunned. Wherever he went, he would be the center of attention, even in the city. After parking the car, the Green and Red brothers got out of the car. This immediately caused a commotion, and all the young men and women passing by looked towards them. Big brother Green said proudly, I told you to dye your hair green, but you didn't listen. Look at the people in the city, they're all dumbfounded. Big brother, I feel that they're looking down on us. Little brother Red felt that there was something wrong with the way the people in the city were looking at him. Big brother Green clicked his tongue. This is jealousy. If I spun Thomas, I would definitely blind their eyes. Wow, is this McDonald's? It's exactly the same as the picture. Little Ali jumped out of the car and looked at the McDonald's in front of her. Her big eyes were full of amazement. However, when little Ali appeared, the eyes of the people on the street became even more curious. 2 non-mainstream people with such a cute child. Could they be human traffickers? However, seeing that the child was bouncing around, it didn't seem like he was threatened. Instead, the 2 non-mainstream people had bitter expressions on their faces. The 3 of them walked into the restaurant. McDonald's business was very good. They even had a queue up. Ali, I want to go, and line up. Dong Wangli was very polite and did not cut the line. Dong Wangli stood behind a big sister, and that look of anticipation on her face caused everyone in the shop to have the urge to hug her. The Green and Red brothers were like bodyguards, waiting for the payment. After queuing for more than 10 minutes, it was finally little Ali's turn, but the platform was too high. Little Ali couldn't see it. Uncle Green, Ali can't see. Ali turned around and looked at Big Brother Green pitifully. Big Brother Green let out a sigh and carried the little ancestor on his shoulder. Wow, so many delicious food. I want a McFlurry, I want a cola, I want a spicy chicken burger, I want a lot of chicken wings and drumsticks, and also chicken rolls, and also corn cups, and also, looking at the cashier who was quickly tallying the food, little brother Red couldn't help but look at his wallet, then looked at his big brother. Big Brother Green let out a breath and let the little ancestor eat first. When her parents find out that the 2 of us treat her so well, they will definitely give us more money. Very quickly, little brother Red carried the food onto the table. Dong Wangli was already impatient, and she was wolfing down the food. If Dong Wang Baiji were to see her daughter eating like this, she would definitely teach her a lesson. Ollie, after you finish eating, let's go and look for Daddy and Mommy, okay? Big Brother Green said with a light smile. The two of them only asked for a cup of cola because they couldn't bear to part with the cola. The cola inside the restaurant is very expensive. Right now, the most important thing is to feed the little ancestor until she is full. Dong Wangli was already mesmerized by the food in front of her, and she said casually, "All right." Hearing that, Dong Wangli agreed. The two brothers let out a breath of relief. This little ancestor really can't afford it. Half an hour later, little Ali rubbed on her stomach. Ali is full. Green and Red brothers looked at the leftovers on the little ancestor's stomach and wondered how she managed to stuff all the food into her stomach. However, it's fine as long as she is full. Ali, let's go and look for Daddy and Mommy right now, okay? Big Brother Green said, while enduring the pain in his heart. Just this one meal alone cost us an entire month's worth of expenses. Dong Wangli pouted her small mouth. Ali doesn't want to go back. If you don't want to go back, how are we going to collect the money from you? Little Brother Red hurriedly persuaded. Ali, if you don't go back, Daddy and Mommy will be worried. Dong Wangli remained silent. Will Mother be worried about me? She shouldn't be worried. After all, she doesn't like Ali anymore. Ali is so sad. Thinking up to here, Ali cried. What the hell? Just what is going on? Green and Red brothers were immediately stupefied, and there were already a lot of people who were looking towards Ali's direction. Little ancestor, don't cry. The ones who are going to cry are us. Uncle Green, Uncle Red. Ali has troubled the two of you. Ali can just leave by herself. Dong Wangli wiped away her tears, then jumped down from the stool with a dispirited look on her face. Right now, it wasn't a question of whether he would cause trouble or not. He had already invested, and he couldn't let it go to waste. The Green and Red brothers immediately followed. Ali, you're thinking too much. How could it be troublesome? Big Brother Green squeezed out a smile and said. Ali choked a few times and suddenly thought of Aunt Ching. Aunt Ching even said that she wanted to bring me out to play. I might as well go look for Aunt Ching. Ali wants to go back. Damn, the little ancestor has finally thought it through. That's great. Big Brother Green hurriedly asked. Ali, where do you live? Long and City. Dong Wangli remembered that Aunt Ching had said before that she was staying at a bar in Long and City. Hearing this name, the Green and Red brothers were dumbfounded. They had never heard of this name before. Let's check where this Long and City is. I feel that it shouldn't be too far away. Big Brother Green said joyfully. At the very least, I should be able to get 1,000 RMB as a token of gratitude, right? Little Brother Green took out his phone and searched for Long and City. Very quickly, the results came out. Big Brother, straighten out your tongue for me. This Long and City, what's the matter? Long and City is 3,000 plus km away from here, and it is in the south. 3,000 plus km. Big Brother Green was simply about to spurt out blood. The toll fee and the gas fee is not a small amount. Little Brother Red said in a low voice, Big Brother, how about we just forget about it? This is not worth it at all. Big Brother Green let out a heavy sigh. Right now, I have already invested close to 400 RMB. If I were to give up halfway, then all of it would be gone to waste. Chapter 183. I still have a card here. There's 5,000 RMB inside. It is enough for us to go to Long and City. Big Brother Green could be seen taking out a bank card. Little Brother Red was stupefied. Big Brother, does that mean that out of your 5,000 RMB, 4,900 RMB is mine? Big Brother Green patted his younger brother's shoulder. Don't worry about these details. As long as we complete this business, we will be rich. Big Brother, let's break up. What the F***, CK? Drive the car and go to the bank to withdraw money first. Big Brother Green slapped the car. Brother, I don't have a driver's license. This big city is not like the countryside. I told you to get a driver's license, but you didn't listen. Didn't all the money go to your place? Little Brother Red said, while feeling wronged. I'm doing this for your own good. I'm saving it for you to marry a wife in the future. Dong Wangli, who was standing at the side, thought to herself, Uncle Green and Uncle Red must not have it easy for them. I will definitely repay them properly. However, the thing that Big Brother Green was most proud of in his entire life was the fact that he was able to save Dong Huang Li. Driving to the bank, Big Brother Green ran to the ATM machine. However, he didn't expect that all of the ATM machines were out of cash, so he could only go to the counter to withdraw money. However, there were a lot of people inside, so he had to queue up. Remembering that he wasn't in the parking lot, he ran back to the counter and said, "Watch out, I'm going to withdraw money. If the traffic police come, inform me immediately." Little Brother Red nodded his head, then began to be vigilant. If I were to be given a ticket, then the gains would not make up for the losses. I heard that there are all sorts of tickets in big cities, and I heard that if I were to randomly park my car in the countryside, I would be giving out all sorts of tickets. When Big Brother Green walked into the bank, he immediately attracted the attention of the security guards. This fellow had a bad face. While waiting in line to get the ticket, Big Brother Green was very depressed. He took out a cigarette and lit it up. The people around him looked at him with disdain. Little Brother Red, who was outside, looked around. Suddenly, from the rear-view mirror, Little Brother Red saw a police motorbike driving over, and the police motorbike had already started to collect the tickets. Immediately, Little Brother Red's expression changed as he hurriedly opened the door, got off the motorbike, and ran towards the bank. Upon rushing into the bank, Little Brother Red immediately saw that lump of dazzling green hair, then shouted out loudly, "Big Brother, the police are here!" Following Little Brother Red's explosive shout, everyone in the hall went into a daze. After remaining silent for a second, the hall instantly burst into screams. "It's a robbery!" Big Brother Green was shocked. He immediately stood up and pulled his little brother along as he ran. "What are you waiting for? Quickly run, it's a robbery!" The two of them quickly ran out of the bank, only to see the security behind them rushing over. "Don't run, catch them." Big Brother Green was dumbfounded. "Why did you catch me? Are you crazy?" However, when he saw the look in the eyes of the two traffic police officers, Big Brother Green instinctively wanted to run. He had fought many times in the countryside. After getting into the car, Big Brother Green immediately drove the car away. The two traffic policemen behind him were stunned for a moment and immediately started chasing after him with their sirens. In report to the command center, Dong Huang Li, who was sleeping at the back, was also woken up by the commotion. While she was drowsily rubbing her eyes, Dong Huang Li heard the sound of police sirens coming from the back. Opening the window to take a look, Dong Huang Li raised her small hand and shouted out, "Hello, police uncle." The faces of the two traffic policemen behind them changed drastically. There was actually a little girl waving her hand for help. These two were not only robbers, but they also kidnapped hostages. Big case. Big Brother Green snorted coldly. "In the countryside, I'm the racing god of Mount Dongming. If you can see my taillights, you win." "Brother, calm down. We're being chased by the police," Big Brother Green said in a deep voice. "To be a person, one must have the heart to win. Otherwise, what's the difference between you and a salted fish?" Big Brother. Little Brother Red was about to cry. To be honest, Big Brother Green's driving skills were indeed not bad, or perhaps it should be said that his luck was off the charts. He actually managed to get rid of the police. After stopping the car outside the suburbs, Big Brother Green saw that his little brother was very quiet. "Don't worry, this is all a misunderstanding. Let's listen to some music and relax our mood." Big Brother Green patted onto his little brother's shoulder and said consolingly. Then he turned on the radio. "Right now, an important news is being broadcasted. At 3 p.m. today, two men who were dressed strangely attempted to rob and even kidnapped a little girl. The two men were discovered by two traffic policemen who were on duty, and a chase started in the city. The suspect's driving skills are outstanding, and they managed to escape from the chase. The police have already issued an arrest warrant, and the suspect is driving a Wuling Hongguang. The license plate number is ****************. If any citizens are to discover the two men, they should immediately report to the police. The two men are considered to be dangerous." The old drivers who were listening to the news were all greatly astonished. F asterisk asterisk K. What a godly car. Awesome. Please acknowledge me as your teacher. To actually use a Wuling Hongwang to escape. What a talent. Right now, the car was completely silent. Dong Wang Li said in a low voice, Uncle Green, Uncle Red, let's surrender. Two streams of tears flowed out from little brother Red's eyes. In the morning, I went out in high spirits, and in just a few hours, I became a wanted criminal. Big brother Green silently took out his cigarette. Surrender? Even if he had to turn himself in, he had to send little Ali home safely. Ali, don't worry. Uncle Green will definitely send you home. Big brother Green flicked away the cigarette, but in his hand, and said in a deep voice. Looking at his big brother who was on the left, little brother Red suddenly felt that his big brother's entire body was emitting a golden light, just like a monk who had descended to the mortal world. Go and get the car plate number. We will take the village road to the south. Big brother Green was still very smart. They definitely couldn't use the highway and the national highway now. Big brother, please accept my bow. Big brother Green was very gratified. We will live and die together. Can you send me home first? I'm scared. Big brother Green raised his hand and slapped. Look at you. After taking down the car plate, Dong Wang Li continued on her way. Dong Wang Li felt that she was a disaster. Her mother doesn't even love her, yet when she goes out, she still harms others. Uncle Green, Uncle Red, Ali has let you two down. Dong Wang Li said while choking with sobs. Little brother Red said with a slight smile, Ali, don't worry, compared to us, your daddy and mommy are even more anxious. Dong Wang Baiji was indeed very anxious. The anger of an empress is not a joke. In just a short period of time, the empress turned the entire voidless realm upside down. Right now, I can be sure that my daughter is no longer in voidless realm. The outside world is so big, and Ali is not even 3 years old yet. If something were to happen to her, Dong Wang Baiji didn't dare to continue thinking about it, and tears of regret flowed out from her eyes. I was too strict with my daughter. Soon after, Dong Wang Baiji gave an order to the entire voidless realm to find Ali at all costs. However, everyone in voidless realm was curious about one thing. Who is this Ali? No one knows who spread the news, but this Ali is called Dong Wang Li, and she is the Empress's daughter. This news shocked everyone in voidless realm. The Empress actually has a daughter, and no one knows about this matter. If that is the case, who is Dong Wang Li's father? Who is the Empress's husband? Illegitimate daughter. Everyone realized the seriousness of this matter. Dong Wang family is going to have to bear the blame of everyone, especially the Empress. Ever since the Empress ascended to the throne, she had always been the synonym of holy and dignified. Right now, an illegitimate daughter appeared, and this image of Dong Wang family immediately collapsed. Not only the Empress, the entire voidless realm is going to be implicated, and the entire voidless realm might even be pulled down from the altar. The 5 influential families in the north are eyeing voidless realm covetously. How could Dong Wang Baiji not know about the consequences? However, so what? In this life, I'm only living for Ali. Without Ali's fame, what's the use? I have already endured for 3 years. Let the world know then. I, Dong Wang Baiji, have a daughter. Her name is Dong Wang Li. Chapter 184. Dong Wang Baiji was a single mother who had to endure enormous pressure to give birth to her child. And because of that, she had no choice but to lock her child up. Only Dong Wang Baiji herself knew of that kind of pain. How could it be that Dong Wang Baiji didn't want her daughter to enjoy the happiness that people of the same age as her? However, for the sake of the entire voidless realm, Dong Wang Baiji had to endure it time and time again. However, Dong Wang Baiji couldn't endure it anymore. The pressure in his heart completely exploded. Whoever dared to make irresponsible remarks behind his back, he would kill them. For the time being, this news was only spread within voidless realm. However, not long from now, This news would spread throughout the entire cultivation world. You, the second young master of the Ing family, are a fart in the eyes of the eunuch? Even the empress has an illegitimate daughter, yet you're still covering the sky and covering the earth in search of her. Comparatively speaking, Yihua's current situation was actually quite miserable. He had to take photos like a robot, and he had to wear all kinds of smiles. He even had to listen to the words of a photographer. Don't you think it's infuriating? If it wasn't for the fact that he could hug this silly woman, he would have quit long ago. But then again, Qinya, who was wearing a wedding dress, was truly beautiful to the point of exploding. Yihua decided that in this lifetime, he would properly collect this woman and let her accompany him until the end of time. However, when Yihua thought about how he had to film till nighttime, he almost couldn't hold it in anymore. On the other hand, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi weren't so particular about their attire. The two of them were lying on a bench on the beach. The older one was wearing a sexy bikini, and the younger one was wearing a cute bikini. While drinking fruit juice, the two of them were enjoying the gazes of countless people. Yi Zizi hugged onto her teddy bear and said in boredom, "Big Sister Qing, let's find something to do. It's so boring. We have already been sitting here for so long, and not a single master came to provoke us. What else can I do?" Qing Yutong, who was wearing sunglasses, let out a long sigh. "I am already dressed so sexily, and yet there is actually no reaction at all. Could it be that all of them knew that I was digging a pit for myself, and all of them are extremely smart?" Yi Zizi smiled mysteriously. "Sister Qing, Zizi has a good idea." "What good idea?" "Do you still remember the conversation between the two men this morning? We trampled on a big shot last night, and he even sent people to kill us yesterday." With regards to the assassin from last night, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi had a tacit understanding. Qing Yutong naturally knew that Yi Zizi was not an ordinary person, and to be precise, all the people that were by her brother-in-law's side were not simple. Similarly, Yi Zizi also knew that Qing Yutong was not an ordinary person. Qing Yutong nodded her head. "I remember that assassin was really stupid. He had simply lost the face of the assassin world." Big Sister Qing, I'm not talking about assassins." "Then what is it about?" "Sister Qing is so stupid. Let's go and find that idiot from yesterday." Yi Zizi already had a plan. It would definitely be fun. If it wasn't fun, it would be free. Qing Yutong came to a sudden realization, then hugged onto Yi Zizi. "My Zizi is really too smart. Woo woo woo. I'm going to suffocate to death." The surrounding people were dumbfounded. They really wanted to turn into a little Lolita and be pressed into the arms of a beautiful woman. Then, quickly think of a way. How are we going to get caught? Qing Yutong was already impatient. This is so exciting. Yi Zizi looked at Qing Yutong's development, then looked at her own, and felt that it was so unbalanced. Don't look anymore. When you grow up, it will definitely be turbulent. Qing Yutong pinched the little fellow's face. She was completely unaware that Yi Zizi could only grow to this size, and her words were a bit hurtful. Yi Zizi pursed her lips and became unhappy. "Big sister, give me a kiss." Many men walked with their backs bent, some sat down awkwardly, and some looked up at the sky. A child's temper came and went quickly. "Big Sister Qing, let's go to sea." "Good idea, let's go out to sea." Finished speaking, the two rented a luxurious yacht and went out to sea. After that, the yacht stopped at the surface of the sea and waited for people to come and catch them. While lying at the front of the yacht, Qing Yutong was a bit sleepy. "Zizi, we have already waited for an hour, and we still don't see anyone coming. The sun is about to set." Yi Zizi also felt that this was not a solution. These people are all blind, and the beautiful woman is already sending herself to our doorstep. A formless aura collided onto the outside of the barrier, causing the seawater within the barrier to surge, and the seawater actually formed into a huge wave that rushed towards Ing family, who was on the island. When the members of Ing family who were in the middle of a meeting felt the tremble of the barrier, their expressions changed greatly. Even the barrier did not tremble at all. I didn't expect that the barrier would be so violent today. Ing Jingshan brought everyone and flew out of the meeting hall, and they could only see the huge wave that was 100 meters tall rushing towards them. This kind of situation caused everyone's scalp to go numb. Of course, they were only surprised that the sea that had not moved for 1,000 years actually gave rise to a huge wave. Ingho could be seen standing out, pushing both of his palms outwards, then shouted out loudly, "Protect!" All of a sudden, the surging huge wave slowly subsided, and the entire sea regained its calmness once again. Jingshan felt that something was amiss. Too many things had happened in these 2 days, and every single thing was targeted at Ing's family. And right now, it even caused the barrier to tremble. "Or go out and take a look." "Yes." Ing Xiang smiled and stood out from the group. "Our uncle will go and take a look with you. Then I'll have to trouble uncle." Ing Ho cupped his hands. He was very polite. After all, if he wanted to obtain the support of Ing family, then he had to satisfy the appetite of these members of Ing family. Yi Zizi yawned. "Just now, I controlled my strength well. If I had used a bit more strength, that barrier would have been broken, and if the power did not disappear, the people inside the barrier would have died, and that would be meaningless." Suddenly, more than 10 figures appeared out of thin air. Yi Zizi was overjoyed. "Big Sister Qing, they are here, they are here." Qing Yutong, who had already fallen asleep, cried out in surprise. Where? The two of you should at least give me some face. The other party is someone who is flying in the sky. As a girl, shouldn't you be surprised? At the very least, you should open your mouth wide and point at the sky and shout monster, and not put on an excited look. Big Sister Qing, pay attention to your acting skills. You are too exaggerated. Looking at Yi Zizi, who had a frightened look on her face, she had even shrunk into a ball. Qing Yutong had also just woken up and did not react to what was happening. Now that she reacted, she immediately hugged onto Yi Zizi. Her entire body was trembling, and her beautiful eyes were filled with fear. However, the depths of her eyes were filled with excitement. Those two girls are very similar to the ones that Liu Bai described. Ing Xiang smiled, then gradually flew towards the yacht and landed at the front of the yacht, sizing it up curiously. Ing Ho revealed out his killing intent. The assassin that went missing yesterday is already very vexing. Although I don't know if it is these two girls or not. Looking at their appearance and age, they are similar to the ones that were described yesterday. If Uncle did not follow me out just now, I would be able to silence them, but now, it would not be good for me to do so. Who are you two? Qing Yutong's acting skills immediately went on, and while protecting Yi Zizi, who was in her embrace, she asked in fright. Ing Xiang finally understood why Nephew Kong invited them. They are indeed beautiful. The big one is sexy, and the small one is cute. They're truly not bad. Don't be nervous. I just want to ask you two a question. Ing Xiang revealed out a gentle smile. If only Nephew did not follow me out, I would have captured the two girls and brought them back to be slaves. Wouldn't that be very relaxing? Chapter 185. This little loli was so cool. She was so pitiful. Don't be afraid. Uncle is not a bad person. What Uncle wants to ask is, last night, did you two drink with a man and then help him extinguish the fire? Qing Yutong immediately revealed out a hesitant look. However, when this kind of look fell into the eyes of the cunning Ing Xiang, there was no need to think too much to know that it was them. However, Yi Zizi had to display the performance that a little girl should have. Uncle, last night, Big Sister and I helped a big brother extinguish the fire. Can you let us go now? Yi Zizi shouted out in fear, vividly acting out the inner monologue of a little girl. Qing Yutong, who was at the side, felt that Yi Zizi could become a child star. Ing Ho tightly wrinkled his brows. Are these two women invited by Jioyi? Looking at their expressions, they don't seem to be. They are just two ordinary women. However, you don't know anything about their strength. Ing Xiang bent down, and Qing Yutong, who was hugging onto Yi Zizi, immediately retreated in fear. As expected of a movie empress, her acting skills are off the charts. Don't come over. I'm calling the police. Ing Xiang straightened his body and said, I'm afraid that the two of you will have to come with me. There are some things that I have to clarify. Ing Xiang could be seen waving his hand, and Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi floated in the air. Yi Zizi instantly fainted. Qing Yutong felt that Yi Zizi's acting skills were a bit exaggerated. At the very least, fainting after being shocked would be more realistic. Look at me. What's wrong? How can I fly? Put me down. Quickly put me down. Qing Yutong, who had a flustered look, tilted her head and fainted. Ing Xiang laughed. These two women stomped on my nephew Kong until he exploded. I really have to give it to them. Ing Ho remained silent. He was still a bit worried. A group of sheep brought along 2 wolves and returned to the sheep pen. The sheep were still too young, or rather, not all sheep were as lucky as those in the anime. After passing through the barrier, Ing Xiang immediately brought Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi to the hall to receive the trial. Yi Zizi, who was in a coma, didn't expect that she would encounter so many delicious food. Eating one was equivalent to eating 10,000 people. However, for the sake of fun, Yi Zizi continued to pretend to be unconscious. Sometimes it is quite interesting to tease the enemy, letting them be eaten while in despair. Haha, I am truly a genius. It's them? Ing Jingshan asked gravely. Ing Ho said in a deep voice, I'm not sure yet. I'll have to wait for my brother to come and confirm it. Wake them up and put the robe on them. Nowadays, the girls in the secular world are becoming more and more shameless. When Ing Jingshan went out to train in the past, which girl dared to dress like this? After draping a robe over Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, Ing Ho woke them up. The two of them sat up in a daze. The confusion on their faces was a perfect match. After a while, they glanced at each other before hugging each other and shivering. If this scene was to be seen by Yi Hua, his buttocks would definitely be smacked into mush. Who would tease their enemies like this? Don't you know that they are in despair right now? Be merciful and grant a painless death. The members of the Ying family didn't expect to see 2 girls like them. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they didn't even have the strength to truss up a chicken. Ing Jingshan would never have thought that his own son was destroyed by them. How was this possible? The main hall was completely silent. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi did not speak as they quietly waited for their father-in-law to enter the main hall. Although the 2 of them did not speak, they were sizing up the 2 of them. The middle-aged man should be the boss, and the young man standing behind the boss should be the son. Then, what is the identity of the person who was stomped on? Liu Bai could be seen supporting Ing Kongshi as they walked into the main hall. Ing Kongshi was limping, and when he saw the 2 figures in the main hall, he recognized them with a single glance. I'm going to kill you too. Even if the 2 of them turned into ashes, Ing Kongshi would still be able to recognize them. My roots were broken by them. Ing Jingshan frowned, and a barrier appeared around Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi. The pitiful Ing Kongshi was forced back a few meters and sat on the ground. His injuries were affected, causing his entire body to distort. Soon after, Ing Kongshi looked at his father in disbelief. Father, let me kill them. Right now, he no longer had any face left to speak of. Ing Kongshi kneeled in front of his father and begged. Ing Kongshi shouted out gravely, I still have something to ask. Father, shut up. Ing Jingshan shouted out coldly. Ing Kongshi remained silent and stood up silently. Looking at the 2 women in the main hall, he wished he could hang them up and use a whip to whip them and listen to their screams of pain. Yi Zizi felt that it was time for her to perform. Don't come over, big sister. I'm scared. Yi Zizi looked at Ing Kongshi as if she was looking at a devil, then leaned onto Qing Yutong's body. Qing Yutong immediately understood. You bastard, you don't even let off a child. Qing Yutong portrayed the image of a big sister very well. Not afraid of power, and, at the same time, protecting her little sister. Upon hearing the 2's narration, Ing Kongshi more or less understood what was going on. All of them sighed and shook their heads. Meanwhile, Ing Kongshi almost vomited blood. It's obviously you 2. It's you 2 who broke my roots, and now, you 2 actually dare to bite back at me. Father, don't believe them. Before the questioning even started, my son was already labeled as someone who bullied and humiliated underage girls. Right now, my son's reputation is already bad enough. Don't tell me that the entire Ing family is going to be stinked. Qing Yutong's acting was very realistic, especially her acting of not being afraid of anyone. It was simply godly. All right, this part of her acting was her true self. Don't think that you can bully us, sisters, just because you have more people. Zizi, don't be afraid, big sister is here. Lightly caressing Auntie Zizi, who was in her embrace, Qing Yutong spoke angrily. Zizi pointed at Ingkongshu and sobbed, "It's fine if you bully me, but don't bully big sister anymore." Ingkongshu felt the taste of blood surging up his chest. "It's obviously the two of you who are bullying me." Looking at the two sisters who were so pitiful, Ingshang said gravely, "Big brother, I'm afraid that we have to consider this matter at length." Jingshan thought for a while, then asked, "Tell me, why did you two hurt my son?" Qing Yutong said righteously, "That night, it was him who invited me and my little sister to accompany him for a drink." Lu Bai went into a daze for a moment, but he didn't refute. That was indeed the case. And he actually made an excessive request, asking me and my little sister to accompany him. My little sister is only 8 years old. How can there be such an evil person in this world? After speaking, Qing Yutong started crying bitterly, causing the other family members to pity her. "She is lying. I have never said such a thing before." Ingkongshu shouted out. He was too hesitant and emotional, and his eyes had already turned red. However, Ingkongshu's words seemed to be very powerless. After all, it was very normal for him to have such thoughts. The looks of these two girls were extraordinary. If they didn't cause any trouble, then it would be fine, but if they caused trouble, then they would definitely be ugly. Qing Yutong could be heard continuing, "My little sister and I were almost drunk, and not knowing what happened, his crotch caught on fire. Although he had evil intentions, we couldn't just leave him to die, right? My little sister and I worked together to extinguish the fire, and only then did he not get burned to death. However, we were also afraid, and thus we left." Chapter 186. Bullshit. You've crushed my roots. Give me back my roots. Ingkongshu had a malevolent look on his face. Just as he was about to charge forward, he was stopped by an invisible force. At the side, Marquis Ing heaved a huge sigh of relief. Seemed like this was truly an accident. The blue veins on Ing Jingshan's forehead bulged a few times. This was truly the misfortune of a clan. One last question. Was this incident an accident, or was it instigated by someone? Ing Jingshan questioned coldly. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi seemed to have a telepathic connection. Shuang cast a glance at Ing Ho, who was at the side, and then immediately retracted her gaze. This action was very fast. Ordinary people might not be able to detect it, but the people sitting here were all powerful figures. How could they not notice this trick? Everyone looked towards Ing Ho, and Ing Ho was completely stupefied. "What do you all mean by looking at me like that?" MLG, Ingkongshu had been guessing all along. He had never confirmed it, and he didn't want to confirm it either. After all, he was his big brother. But when he saw their gazes, his entire person froze. His gaze gradually turned to his elder brother, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. "Ing Ho, I'm going to kill you." Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi snickered in their hearts. To be able to make the two of you kill each other so effortlessly, this is truly too fun. Marquis came to his senses and said angrily, "Are you crazy? They are obviously framing us, trying to make us fight amongst ourselves." Zizi and Big Sister really don't know him, Zizi said while choking with sobs. She seemed to be very scared, as if she was being threatened. A child's words were very lethal, let alone a cute little loli. However, this kind of supplement was like a stab to Ing Ho's back, causing him to be enraged. "I'll kill you two bitches." After saying that, Marquis Ing attacked. Upon seeing the situation, Qing Yutong immediately protected Yi Zizi. If no one is going to make a move, then prepare to counterattack. In any case, I have already played enough. But how could no one do anything in such a situation? Ing Xiang and Ing Shang took the opportunity to stand in front of Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, forcing Ing Ho to retreat. Ing Shang said in a deep voice, "Nephew Ho, it's not good to silence them." Third uncle. These two demonesses were bewitching people with their words. We can't let him live. At this moment, Marquis Ing was also flustered. If he acted rashly, wouldn't that be the same as admitting to it? Big brother, it really is you. From today onwards, we are no longer brothers. Ing Kongsher raised his hand and made a vow. From now on, he cut off all ties with Ing Hui, leaving only hatred. Ing Jingshan clenched his fists tightly. If possible, he really didn't want them to appear, harming others and oneself. Speak, you don't have to be afraid. Ing Jingshan shouted. Qing Yutong hugged Auntie Zizi, and the two of them shivered, seeming like they didn't dare to speak. If this matter was confirmed, it would be a great opportunity for Ing Xiang and Ing Shang. Young ladies, don't be afraid. With me, Ing Xiang, here, no one will dare to hurt you. You just need to tell me the truth, Ing Shang said with a smile. As an adult, Qing Yutong definitely can't speak carelessly. Right now, as long as I act well, they will definitely start fighting. At this time, it was Yi Zizi's turn. Really? Yi Zizi asked curiously with her eyes wide open. No one would question a frightened little lowly's desire to live. Of course it's true. Ing Xiang smiled amiably. Ing Jingshan, who was sitting on the main seat, appeared very solemn. Two unfilial sons, both ruined in the hands of a woman. Yi Zizi wiped away her tears. This action of hers was too pitiful. Then, pointing at Ing Ho, she said, "This uncle gave big sister a large sum of money to let us dress sexily at the bar at night. That's all." Ing Xiang asked. Yi Zizi shook her head. That's all. Everyone's expression changed greatly. This is a scheme that has a brain. Needless to say, the person who is able to come up with such a scheme is this eldest young master. Ing Xiang sneered. Big brother, you have taught a good son. If this kind of matter were to spread out, what would our Ing family's face be? Ing Shang walked back and forth, slowly explaining the scheme to everyone. Nephew Kong would normally go to the bar at Three Seasons Hotel when he goes out. You calculated that on that night, little brother would be happy and go out to drink, so you used money to bribe the two young ladies. Because you are very clear of little brother's character, he would definitely let the two young ladies accompany him to drink. The mission of the two young ladies was actually only an open scheme. They were only covering for that waiter. Following Ing Shang's explanation, everyone fell into contemplation. There is nothing wrong with this. However, Ing Ho's expression became even more gloomy. Ing Shang continued. The people who went out to investigate discovered that everything about that waiter was fake, and that waiter disappeared on that very night. If my guess is correct, the one who did it should be that waiter. However, the two young ladies are benevolent, so of course they also made a huge mistake. As for why Liu Bai was controlled, there is no need for me to say much, right? Liu Bai suddenly looked at Ing Ho. What a vicious man. However, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were laughing so hard in their hearts. Benevolent. This phrase is so professional. I didn't expect that you would be able to see through it. The entire hall was filled with an oppressive aura. Ing family's biggest taboo was to harm one's own brothers. Even if it was a power struggle, one's life must not be harmed. However, all of the family members were hoping that Ing Ho's crime would be confirmed. That way, the position of the family master would be vacant. As for why I didn't kill him, it should be because Nephew Kong didn't want to do that. After all, he is a blood brother, and furthermore, killing him is even more ruthless than killing him. After finished speaking, Ing Shang's aura suddenly erupted as he shouted loudly. Am I right? Bullshit. I just wanted to kill him. The entire hall was silent. Ing Shang's aura that suddenly erupted was to attack Ing Ho's willpower. Ing Shang's strength was also stronger than Ing Ho's. And, as expected, Ing Ho, who was caught off guard, lost his judgment for a short period of time, causing Ing Ho to speak the truth. However, the truth was indeed frightening enough. He actually dared to kill his younger brother. Ing Xiang said gravely, Seems like that waiter's mission was to kill Nephew Kong, and those two girls had indirectly saved Nephew Kang's life. Right now, even Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were stupefied. This plot seems to have been extended infinitely. This is really a case of brothers killing each other. This is so awesome. This is much more entertaining than a TV drama. Who is it? Why aren't you quickly thanking us? If it wasn't for us, it would not be possible for you to be standing here right now. However, Qing Yutong thought to herself, from the looks of it, Jiu Yi seems to have an affair with this man. This is a bit interesting. I reckon that this Jiu Yi has an even bigger secret that I can slowly unravel. Ying Jingshan's head was buzzing. His eldest son was actually jealous to the point of killing his younger brother. If it wasn't for a freak combination of factors, his youngest son would have already lost his life. Big brother, we are also very sad that something like this happened. But without rules, nothing can be accomplished. Ying Xiang said, not giving any face to Ying Jingshan at all. In actuality, for a family like Ying Jingshan's, if they were to be slightly caught by others, they would definitely die without a complete corpse. Chapter 187. Although these two women were talking nonsense, he really wanted to kill them. The funny thing was that he had been tricked. He was really stupid. Ying Kongsher knelt in front of his father and said furiously, "Father, Marquis Ying has violated the family rules. Father, please punish him accordingly." Hearing Ying Kongsher's words, all the clan members stood up and cupped their hands. Clan head, please punish them according to the clan rules. Marquis Ying knew what the outcome would be. Rather than waiting for death, he might as well run. Marquis Ying instantly dashed out. This kind of thinking was really stupid. But given the current situation, there was nothing he could do. The clan members easily grabbed onto Ying Ho, then kneeled beside Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi. Ying Ho glared angrily at the two women beside him. Yi Zizi suddenly made a face at Ying Ho and said, "Lu, this time around." Marquis Ying was completely enraged. He wanted to get rid of these two women with all his might. However, the result was self-evident, and it was even more certain that it was the truth. "I'll kill you all. I'm going to kill you." Marquis Ying's face twisted, and his eyes revealed an ominous glint as he roared at the two women beside him. Ying Jingshan maintained his silence. How could he not feel pain in his heart? A single sentence from the Empress had actually caused the brothers of the Ying family to turn on each other, and the clan members had even wanted him to kill his son for the sake of the position of clan head. How ironic. The greatest irony. One day ago, the clan members were mad with jealousy. The eldest son had become the clan leader, and the youngest son was married to the Empress. How glorious was that? However, one day later, the youngest son had been trampled to death, and the eldest son even wanted to kill his younger brother. This was a great humiliation. Such a turn of events surprised the clan members, but they also found it funny. This was a rare opportunity. In fact, the culprit is sitting in the hall. It's just that you're blind. However, it had to be said that Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi had truly saved Ying Kongsher's life. Otherwise, Jiu Yi would have definitely poisoned Ying Kongsher. Hoer Konger. Yuhi, who was weak, could be seen running in from outside of the door, and when she saw her two sons kneeling on the ground, tears immediately flowed down like rain. "What are you all doing? Get up, all of you. What misunderstanding can't be solved?" Yuha shouted painfully. Ying Xiang said faintly, "Sister-in-law, your eldest son wants to kill his younger brother. This is a violation of the family rules." "What? Impossible. How could Hoer kill Konger? This is impossible, Hoer. Tell me." Yuha shook her son. Her voice was hoarse. She had cried for a long time because of her youngest son, but now she was told that her eldest son wanted to kill her younger brother. It was like a bolt from the blue. Kneeling on the ground, Marquis Ying was too ashamed to face his mother. He lowered his head and refused to answer. Yuha ran to her youngest son and cried, "Konger, you listen to me the most. How could your brother want to kill you? There must be a misunderstanding. Quickly plead for your father." Ying Kongsher didn't look at his mother. Instead, he lowered his head and said in a deep voice, Marquis Ing got what he deserved. He will be punished according to the family rules. Yuha sat paralyzed on the ground in disbelief. The elder brother wanted to kill the younger brother, and the younger brother even wanted to punish the elder brother according to the family law. Why? How could a good family change like this in one day? Jingshan, quickly say something. You can't kill Hoer, he's our child. Yuha knelt in front of her husband and begged. No one said anything, because the outcome had been decided. Hearing his wife's pleading, how could Jingshan not want to save her? But sitting in his current position, how could he save her? What could he use to save her? Jingshan, I beg of you, if you want to kill her, then let me die in place of my son. In the end, Yuha didn't do anything wrong. She only wanted to save her child. However, marrying into this kind of family, one would be able to enjoy the comfort brought by power, but at the same time, one would also lose a lot. Mom! Hearing her eldest son's call, Yuha, who was begging, felt her heart shatter. In Ing family, different from the secular world, there were rules for how one should address someone. This was the first time she heard her son calling her mom. Yuha came to the front of her eldest son and held onto his hand. Mom will save you, don't worry. Men don't cry easily. This was the education that Marquis Ing had received. Right now, both of his eyes were red, but he didn't cry. Mom, your son will call you mom for the last time. Don't beg anymore. Marquis Ing Jingshan naturally knew that all of his pleading was already useless. Looking at his mother's screams, his heart felt like it was being sliced into pieces. This might be the punishment for me, right? What they said was right. I wanted to kill my younger brother. I deserve it. Forget about your son. Your son is unfilial, unable to bring you face. I have let down the ancestors of Ing family. Please accept 3 kowtows from your son. Thank Mom for raising me. Marquis Ing Jingshan could be seen opening his mother's hands, then moving backward a bit, bowing to his mother. Bang! Marquis Ing Jingshan's forehead fiercely knocked onto the ground. The hard stone on the ground immediately cracked, and the entire hall shook for a bit. Bang! The hard stone was unable to withstand the force, and actually collapsed, and the cracks spread out endlessly. Bang! A small pit was forcefully created on the ground, and right now, Marquis Ing Jingshan's entire face was covered with blood. Even Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, who were at the side, were stupefied. They completely didn't expect Marquis Ing Jingshan to do such a thing. Mom, go back. Just treat it as if you don't have this son. Looking at her son, whose face was covered with blood, Yuha felt as if her heart was being pierced by a knife. She hugged her son in her embrace, just like when he was young. Mom won't leave. Mom will accompany you. Marquis Ing Jingshan let out a deep breath, enjoying the last bit of warmth. Soon after, he lightly caressed his mother's forehead, letting her gradually fall asleep. The maid very quickly carried the unconscious Yuha away, and the entire hall once again became quiet. Right now, Ing Kongshir was still kneeling in front of his father, his head lowered as he begged, not having the slightest intention of asking for forgiveness. Ing Jingshan said gravely, Marquis Ing, violating the family rules, harming your own brother, you will be sentenced to heavy dust cave. Hearing such a declaration, the relatives of the clan let out a sigh of relief. As long as one entered heavy dust cave, it would be impossible for them to come out. However, when Ing Kongshir heard such a sentence, he finally felt that the situation was balanced. Hearing his father's sentence, Marquis Ing Jingshan did not reveal too much of an expression. On the other hand, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were both curious about what kind of place this heavy dust cave was. As for the two of you, Ing Jingshan immediately glared at Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi. If the two of them did not appear, such a thing would not have happened. Not knowing the severity of your attack, causing Ing family's offspring to be infertile, you'll be sentenced to heavy dust cave. Towards this kind of punishment, everyone felt that it was meaningless. Although the two ladies had saved Ing Kongshir's life, they had also trampled on his life, and the punishment naturally could not be offset. However, the punishment of being sent to heavy dust cave was indeed a little heavy, so it would be better to just straightforwardly behead them. Ing Jingshan had nowhere to vent his anger, and Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi could only be said to be innocent bystanders. However, other than being frightened, the two of them were also curious about Heavy Dust Cave and wanted to go and see what exactly was inside. The two of them appeared to be very fearful and at the same time respectful. Chapter 188. Something like being sent into the Heavy Dust Cavern was a huge matter for the entire Ing family. All of the members of the Ing family were present, including the guards. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi curiously looked at that family head who was praying to the heavens. It seemed like only by praying to the heavens would he be able to be at ease. "Sister Qing, are you afraid?" "If you are, let's charge out right now," Yi Zizi whispered. Qing Yutong muttered, "Don't, let's go in and see what it is." "That's what I was thinking too." Yi Zizi was now incomparably curious about Heavy Dust Cave. Was there a big monster inside? I really like fighting monsters. This Heavy Dust Cavern was located at the back of the island. From the outside, this cavern seemed to extend to the bottom of the sea. From time to time, a chilling aura would seep out from within, making people shiver. After the worshipping ceremony ended, Ing Jingshan took one last look at his son. Then, he turned around and shouted, "Enter the cave." The guards escorted the three of them towards the Heavy Dust Cavern. When Ing Ho passed by his younger brother, he said in a low voice, "Take good care of Mom." Ing Kongshur coldly looked at his elder brother, who wanted to kill him, and did not say anything. The guard urged in a low voice, and the three of them slowly walked into the Heavy Dust Cave. Immediately, cold air assaulted them, and the temperature instantly dropped below zero. Since he had already walked in, there was no need for him to continue acting. La 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 la. So fun. Zizi swung the teddy bear in her hand and skipped down the seemingly bottomless staircase. "Zizi, slow down a bit. Don't fall," Qing Yutong warned. Zizi ran over again and smiled sweetly. "I know." The two of them glanced at Ing Ho, who was standing silently at the side. They felt that this was a very strange situation. This was a good opportunity for them to kill someone. After a long time, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi finally couldn't endure the fire of gossip in their hearts anymore. "Hey, why didn't you kill us?" Qing Yutong asked curiously, and Yi Zizi waited for the other party's reply. Ing Ho, whose face was covered in blood, laughed coldly. "Being killed by me is too easy for you. Being killed by Zhongchun is the most painful. Why should I make a move and let you die so easily? What is this heavy dust? You guys seem to be very afraid of it." Yi Zizi asked curiously. She hugged little Teddy with both her hands, and her face was filled with questions. Ing Ho snorted coldly, mocking their ignorance. Heavy dust is an ancient, ferocious beast. It's incomparably cruel and has been suppressed by the Ing family for thousands of years. Yi Zizi waved her little hand and exclaimed, "Wow, an ancient, ferocious beast. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Your sister has already gone crazy." Ing Ho laughed. Qing Yutong spread out her hands. "I haven't even seen what an ancient beast looks like yet." In actuality, she had even eaten the meat of a prehistoric beast before, and even though she ate the meat of an ancient ferocious beast, it was still not as good as a prehistoric beast. After a while, the three of them reached the end of the staircase. It seemed quite spacious, but it was pitch black. Moreover, it was incredibly cold and gave off a powerful might. Ing Ho sighed deeply. "I'll wait for you on the other side." With that, he walked into the darkness. "Roar!" "Huh!" A roar sounded out, and within the roar, there was even Ing Ho's counterattack. However, not even a second later, the entire world once again became silent, and Qing Yutong could even hear the faint sound of chewing. Yi Zizi shook her head. "You could have lived, but you chose to die. Even if you waited there for a lifetime, you wouldn't be able to see me." Qing Yutong smiled, then took out a stone from the system and threw it towards the sky. The stone was instantly illuminated. The two of them saw what the so-called heavy dust looked like. It had a lion's head and a crocodile's body. It seems that this is a hybrid product. This is the ugliest and weakest ancient beast that I have ever seen. Yi Zizi muttered, This is truly an eyesore. I didn't expect that an ancient beast would actually be this ugly. Qing Yutong couldn't bear to look on anymore. The two of them indeed had good taste in aesthetics. Heavy Dust was actually quite awe-inspiring. Its body length was close to 300 meters, and when it stood up, it was roughly 10 floors tall. The fur below its neck was like golden thorns that were incomparably sharp. The defense of the scales on its body was extremely high, and wanting to break through its defense was not an easy task. The main point was its 4 huge claws that were flickering with a cold light. In front of Heavy Dust, Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were just like a black dot, and they seemed so insignificant. Heavy Dust could be seen slowly crawling over, and every time it moved, the entire cave would tremble. Ancient beasts all have intelligence, and these 2 weak humans actually dared to ignore this beast and even turn their faces to the side. Don't think that just because you two look good, this beast will spare your life. Roar! Heavy Dust let out a loud roar, and its aura soared into the sky. This is definitely a move that is used to scare little kids. Evening Family, who was outside of the cave, heard Heavy Dust's roar, and apart from being shocked, they also sighed in admiration. Unexpectedly, an even louder roar rang out from within the cave, and a berserk aura swept out from within the cave, causing the altar to collapse. Ing Xiang said gravely, "This Heavy Dust has become a bit more powerful. What kind of joke is this? That roar just now was Yi Zizi's. When it comes to roaring, Yi Zizi has never been afraid of roaring before." However, Heavy Dust, who was still awe-inspiring just a moment ago, was actually hiding at the corner of the cave and shivering. Just like an injured kitten, Heavy Dust buried its head into its chest. In actuality, Qing Yutong was also quite frightened by Yi Zizi's roar. Yi Zizi's ability is not ordinary, and that lowly voice of hers couldn't have turned on a voice changer, right? All right, you guessed it right. La la la, la la la. It's time for Ultraman to beat up little monsters. Yi Zizi waved the teddy bear in her hand and bounced over to the front of Heavy Dust, then stretched out her leg and kicked onto Heavy Dust's sharp claws. Big Sister Qing, quickly come over. This beast is actually painted with black nail polish. So coquettish, Heavy Dust. You are lying. These are all natural black nails, okay? Don't think that just because you are powerful, you can slander a good beast. Qing Yutong walked over, then let out a breath and said, "Black nail polish doesn't look good. How about we paint it red?" "Sure." Zizi likes red. Heavy Dust's heart was filled with despair. While speaking, the two really started painting their nails, and they were definitely not joking. "What are you being shy for? Put down your nails a bit. You won't even be able to paint it. That claw over there. You're acting like a little girl. You really haven't seen the world yet." Heavy Dust, under Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi's ridicule, Heavy Dust wished that he could die from despair. They are simply inhumane, painting the sharp claws that I am most proud of into a dazzling red color, and even made me wear contact lenses. I really want to die. Qing Yutong clapped her hands. "Zizi, do you feel that it is prettier?" Looking at Heavy Dust, who had a wronged look on his face, Yi Zizi hugged onto the teddy bear and said, "Won't you know after taking a look?" That makes sense. Zizi is really smart. Quickly give Big Sister a kiss." After speaking, Heavy Dust hugged onto Yi Zizi and fiercely kissed onto her. Big Sister Qing, you salivating monster." Heavy Dust buried his head. "I'm still a child." Chapter 189. Heavy Dust, who was originally lying motionlessly on the ground, slowly stood up. His gaze was no longer filled with despair. Instead, he wanted others to feel despair. The humiliation he had suffered here would be returned by others. Roar! The Heavy Dust drilled up the stairs like a machine. Countless rocks rolled down one after another. The entire cave was about to collapse. Just now, when Qing Yutong undid the seal, her motive was very simple, and that was to let Heavy Dust out to play. After being locked up for such a long time, Heavy Dust's intelligence would soon become retarded. "Sister Qing, Let's go up and play. All right. The two of them held hands and followed behind Heavy Dust. From time to time, Yi Zizi's sweet laughter could be heard. However, this laughter made one's hair stand on end. At this time, the people of Ing family were sitting in the main hall, discussing about the next clan head candidate. Ing Jingshan was furious in his heart. His son had just died, and they couldn't wait to choose the next clan head. Suddenly, the entire hall began trembling, and the faces of the Ing family immediately turned pale with fright. This aura, Heavy Dust. Ing Shang couldn't believe his eyes. How could Heavy Dust have escaped? The entire island was shaking as if there was an earthquake, and the Heavy Dust emitted a baleful aura that struck fear into the hearts of all who smelled it. Ing Jingshan did not have the slightest bit of hesitation as he shouted in a deep voice, "Activate all of Ing family's ancient godly items. We must continue to seal Heavy Dust and not let it escape." In the face of danger, the entire Ing family was united. Otherwise, they wouldn't have become one of the three giants. When Heavy Dust broke through the hole, it immediately roared towards the sky, as if it was telling the people of the world that their time of death had come. It was going to use its red claws to crush them. With every step he took, Ing family's luxurious building would turn into an Oreo. He didn't even know if there was anyone under his foot. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi slowly walked out, and looking at the moonlight in the sky, Qing Yutong stretched their waist. "Big sister Qing, hug me, I'm tired." Yi Zizi stretched out her arms, indicating that she did not want to move anymore. Qing Yutong carried Yi Zizi up. Let's go and watch the big monster fight against Ultraman." "Right, what time is it?" "If Big Cousin finishes taking the wedding photos and finds out that we're not there, then we're finished." Qing Yutong took a look at the sky. "I didn't bring my phone with me, and looking at the sky, it should still be early." "Big sister Qing, remember what you said, little fellow. You only know how to shift the blame to others." Qing Yutong pinched onto Yi Zizi's little nose, causing the latter to laugh heartily. At this moment, Heavy Dust was like a war machine. Half of the Ing family's buildings had been razed to the ground, and everyone in the Ing family started to attack Heavy Dust. The weapons in their hands flashed with all sorts of colors, and anyone could tell that they were cheap weapons. "Big brother, this Heavy Dust is very strange. It seems to be very violent." Ing Shang held a long spear in his hand. The long spear was black in color and was surrounded by lightning. Ancient godly item. At this moment, Ing Xiang had also flown over. He was holding a large blade in his hand. It looked very much like the green dragon crescent blade, but the blade was yellow in color. It was another ancient godly item. The thing that the three great magnates lacked the least was ancient godly equipment. "Big brother, why did Heavy Dust's sharp claws turn red? This is a bit strange." Ing Jingshan also felt that it was strange. Why did it feel like those sharp claws were painted with nail polish? "All right, let's not talk anymore. Let's subdue Heavy Dust and seal him again." Yes. The orders of the Patriarch could not be disobeyed. Rules were rules, and no one could override the rules of the Ing family. Yi Zizi, who was nestled in Qing Yutong's embrace, pouted her mouth. The little fellow doesn't seem to be a match for them, and the weapons in their hands are very powerful. Qing Yutong said. The two hid at a remote place and watched the battle. "I didn't expect that Ing family's foundation would be this powerful. If they were to be given a bit more time, they would be able to seal Heavy Dust once again." The two watched the battle for another 10 minutes, and Heavy Dust was already on the verge of collapse. Facing against Ing family's frenzied attacks, Heavy Dust was unable to hold on any longer. They're too much of a bully, a few thousand people against one. In actuality, Qing Yutong hated those people very much. Comparatively speaking, that Ing Ho could still be counted as a man. Yi Zizi snorted. "Big sister Qing, let's go and help those little monsters. They are too pitiful." "All right, let's let them experience what true despair is." Qing Yutong loosened up her muscles and bones. "I can finally have a big battle." Just as the two were preparing to enter the battlefield, Yi Zizi's expression changed. "Big sister Qing, wait, don't go." Yi Zizi retracted her usual smile and shouted out sternly. Qing Yutong turned her head around and asked curiously, "What happened, Zizi? Big brother is here." Yi Zizi's face collapsed as she thought about where she should hide. Brother-in-law is here." Qing Yutong also got a fright, and she felt that but was a bit painful. "Hide!" The two immediately understood each other's gaze and hid half an hour ago. Yi Hua, who was in the bridal dress store, felt that his body and mind were exhausted. I might as well just fight with Yi Zizi. Thinking about how there's still a whole day of filming tomorrow, Yi Hua felt that the sky was pressing down on him, and a feeling of powerlessness welled up within him. Facing something like this, so what if I am strong? Sometimes I really want to go back to the past and be a little skeleton that is always in fear. Sigh. Qing, who was wearing a pure white wedding dress, walked over. Looking at Yi Hua, who had a bitter look on his face, Qing laughed in her heart. "All right, don't be angry anymore. I will give you a massage when we get back. Don't think that I will be able to calm down just by saying a few nice words." Yi Hua said gravely, "Today I have changed at least 10 sets of clothes, and right now, I am even wearing a bright red suit. Even my leather shoes and socks are red in color. Do you think that I am a male prostitute?" Qing could be seen walking to Yi Hua's side, then bending down and lightly kissing onto Yi Hua's cheek. "Is this okay?" The boy who was dragging the wedding dress behind Qing was stupefied. "This woman in front of me is so beautiful, yet she is actually trying to curry favor with a man, and even took the initiative to give him a kiss. Needless to say, this man's family has a mind, and a lot of mind." Yi Hua pursed his lips. "Qing actually took the initiative. I have taught her quite well. Quickly change your clothes and go back," Yi Hua said petulantly. Qing stretched out her index finger and hooked onto Yi Hua's chin, then blinked her beautiful eyes and said sweetly, "Little darling, wait for me." Yi Hua looked blankly at Qing, who was leaving. "This woman is really makes me..." Yi Hua doesn't even know how to describe what he is feeling right now. She actually dares to take liberties with me. Later on, when we get back, just wait and see how I will take care of you. Although that was what he said, the corner of Yi Hua's mouth was still quite honest. Suddenly, Yi Hua seemed to have heard a light roar, causing Yi Hua to be very curious. Who is walking a ferocious beast in the middle of the night? It was normal for Yi Hua to be able to hear heavy dust roar. After all, heavy dust was not very far away from Yi Hua. Adding on to the excitement of heavy dust breaking out from the ground, heavy dust's roar was very loud, and thus, heavy dust's roar was transmitted into Yi Hua's ears. Of course, other people would not be able to hear heavy dust's roar. Even if Xiao Yi was called over, Xiao Yi would not be able to hear heavy dust's roar. Chapter 190. Opening the window, Yi Hua looked towards the pitch-black ocean. From that direction, he could still sense the existence of Yi Zizi. As expected, she is looking for something to do, and there are quite a lot of people in the ocean. After pondering for a while, Yi Hua decided to call Wei Chong and Lai Gu over for a meeting. Arriving at the toilet, Yi Hua closed the door and began summoning his two subordinates. Wei Chong and Lai Gu instantly arrived. "Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Yi Hua said faintly, "Stop kneeling. The floor is dirty." Wei Chong and Lai Gu heaved a sigh of relief. "Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for your understanding." When Wei Chong and Lai Gu raised their heads and saw his honor, who was dressed entirely in red, Wei Chong and Lai Gu were both stupefied. His honor had always been dressed in black, and for his honor to suddenly be dressed entirely in red, it truly feels very awkward. "I am currently thinking about a problem, and I wish to hear your opinions." Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and said faintly, "What?" "He came to take the exam in the middle of the night." Wei Chong and Lai Gu immediately pricked up their ears to listen. "Zizi is currently causing trouble in a certain power, and I, the Supreme Overlord, want to take this opportunity to subdue him. What do you all think?" Yi Hua let out a mouthful of smoke and said. Lai Gu secretly pulled Wei Chong. Aren't you very good at this kind of problem? Subordinate thinks that. Wei Chang was about to speak, but Yi Hua said, "Let Lai Gu speak." Lai Gu, Your Honor, you clearly know that subordinate isn't thinking. Subordinate is only thinking with the lower half of his body. Lai Gu coughed lightly. Your Honor, I feel that your way of thinking is truly too great. It was over. No more? Yi Hua asked gravely. Yes, 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 yes. Lai Gu said 10 times in one go. Speak. This subordinate feels that what his honor is doing. What is it called again? What rain? Wei Chang reminded. Prepare for a rainy day. That's right, that's right. It is to prepare for a rainy day. Currently, other than Sun Fong, who is still teaching the humans, there are no other powers that are under our control. If we were to subdue those powers, it would be useful for your honor's plan. After finished speaking, Lai Gu prepared to listen to Yi Hua's lecture. Yi Hua paused for a moment, then said gravely, That's right, the current progress is indeed a bit slow. If I were to subdue a power and make it work for me, it would be more convenient for me to handle matters. Your honor is wise. Your honor is wise. Since we're going to subdue them, what kind of formation do we have to put on to shock them? Yi Hua thought back to back then, when the 7 deadly sins were still around. Every time they set out to battle, there would be 8 of them. Wei Chang and Lai Gu also thought of the past. However, there weren't that many people now. Wei Chang suddenly had an idea and suggested, I can call Xiao Tang over, along with Lai Gu's 3 celebrities, and that little brother of mine, and that little brother of mine, and that little brother of mine's woman. This scene should be more or less enough. You called a few women to keep up appearances? Yi Hua was a bit displeased. Wei Chang hurriedly explained, during that day's outing, they had already started to worship your honor's strength. If your honor were to show off your strength again, they would definitely become the sharp blades in your honor's hands and pierce through the blood vessels of your enemies. Not only to shock the enemy, but also to shock them. That makes sense. The world has yet to witness my true strength. I might as well let them witness my true terror tonight. Wei Chang and Lai Gu didn't care whether the ground was dirty or not, and said in unison, His honors might shakes the world. Gather everyone. We're leaving in 5 minutes. Yes, yes. Yi Hua let out a breath and felt an indescribable excitement, as if I have returned to the past. This feeling is great. Arriving at Qing Ye's dressing room, Yi Hua walked into the dressing room. Yi Hua, what's wrong? Don't be anxious. It will be done very soon. Qing Ye smiled tenderly. Yi Hua said faintly, I ran out of cigarettes. I'm going to buy a pack of cigarettes. I will wait for you here. Be careful on the road. Pay attention to the cars. Qing Ye warned. Yi Hua smiled lightly and pinched on Qing Ye's nose. Pay attention to the cars, so what if I crash into them? Walking into the toilet once again, Yi Hua's figure had already appeared on the surface of the sea. Taking a deep breath, Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Within a certain hotel in Sanya City, Death Mage and Sun Fong were currently lying on the bed and playing games. Right now, they were playing games as much as they wanted to. Just as they were playing, Death Mage received his master's command. His honor is going to make a big move. F***K. His honor's big move will definitely cause blood to flow like a river and bones to appear. What? And he is going to bring along this woman who is beside him. Are you for real? Time was of the essence, and there was no time for Death Mage to think too much. Grabbing onto Sun Fong's fragrant shoulder, Death Mage let out a cackling sound. Imperial translation, quickly change your clothes. Don't wear your pajamas anymore. I will bring you to meet his honor. This time, Sun Fong was really confused. She frowned and said, What are you doing? You're hurting me. Death Mage immediately started typing on his phone. Looking at the anxious look on Death Mage's face, Sun Fong felt an indescribable nervousness. What kind of matter could make Death Mage so anxious? He flashed his phone. I'll bring you to see the master. Hurry up and change your clothes. Change into that waiter's clothes. Sun Fong was confused and asked curiously, Aren't you the boss? GGG, Royal Translation. I'm not your boss. Hurry up and change your clothes." The anxious death mage forgot to type again. When Sun Fong saw the words that death mage had typed out, her entire body became unwell. Isn't he the boss? Instead, is someone else's underling's underling's underling. Then who is his boss's boss? Sun Fong immediately went to find a waiter's uniform and hurriedly ran back. Death Mage hugged onto his woman, then stepped into the black void. On the surface of the sea, Yihua was smoking a cigarette. Wei Chong could be seen being the first to arrive, and he appeared with Tang Wei. Wei Chong was still wearing that black maid attire, just that Tang Wei's current expression was a bit off. A bit of fear could be seen on her face. "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Wei Chong knelt down in the void and shouted out loudly. Tang Wei was startled, then immediately knelt down in the void and shouted out, "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Yihua didn't say anything, and the two of them didn't get up either. Very quickly, Lai Gu arrived as well. He brought along still Yi, Wen Xia, and Bai Xiaozhen. The four of them knelt down in unison and shouted out loudly, "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." The three women didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Just a moment ago, when they found out about the boss's identity, their souls were simply about to be scared out of their wits. At this moment, Death Mage could be seen appearing at the scene as well, just that he was standing slightly behind Yihua. "Subordinate pays respect to your honor, pays respect to master." Sun Fong was a bit dazed. Looking at the person who was kneeling down in the void, she felt a bit dizzy. Death Mage immediately pulled onto Sun Fong. "What are you standing there foolishly for? Quickly pay respect to master." Sun Fong knew what Death Mage meant, and she imitated everyone. "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Yihua puffed out a mouthful of smoke, then said calmly with his back facing everyone, "Everyone, stand up." The 8 people behind Yihua slowly stood up and stood according to their positions. Chapter 191. Sun Fong was a little nervous. Death Mage was such a powerful skeleton, yet he was only standing at the back. "No, I'm the last one." Just how strong was the man in front of her? Yihua flicked away the cigarette, but that was in his hand, and the cigarette, but just so happened to land on the barrier, causing the sparks to burn out a round hole on the barrier. The group of 9 stepped into the barrier, and the surface of the sea once again fell into silence. The winner. Ing Jingshan looked at the dying heavy dust and let out a heavy breath. "How are the casualties?" Ing Xiang hurriedly said, 711 people died and 2,732 were injured. F***CK. Ing Jingshan could not help but swear. There are only about 10,000 people in Ing family, and this number included the guards and maidservants. 711 people had died today. What a heavy loss. Moreover, it had injured more than 2,000 people. As expected of an ancient ferocious beast, its strength was indeed formidable. Looking up at the vast Milky Way, Ing Jingshan said in a deep voice, "Take good care of the dead, treat the injured as soon as possible, and carry out the construction work at the same time. Also, continue sealing heavy dust." "Yes," Ing Xiang replied. Just when everyone thought that everything was fine, a round flame suddenly appeared in the night sky. It was very eye-catching, and everyone in the Ing family raised their heads to look up. After a moment of shock, the Ing family members immediately became vigilant. He held the ancient godly item tightly in his hands. The enchantment in the void fell like a piece of glass, and then 9 people walked in. The man at the very front was dressed in red, looking quite festive. Could it be that he just got married? The enchantment slowly healed. Looking at the 9 people in the sky, the Ing clan was shocked. They were actually able to break through the barrier so easily. How is this possible? Who dares to trespass? An armored warrior shouted out. However, before he could finish speaking, his entire body turned into a pool of blood. The people of the Ing family were dumbfounded. That warrior had just made a great contribution in the battle against Heavy Dust Mountain. His strength was clear to see. He didn't expect to be instantly killed. Moreover, The one who attacked was standing at the back of the group, a black-robed man with a sickle in his hand. That's right, it was Death Mage. He was currently raising his hand. The entire Ing family fell silent. They felt that these people were even more terrifying than Zhong Chun. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, who were hiding below, looked upwards. Big cousin is so pretentious. Brother-in-law is indeed the act tough king. Ing Xiang, who had a fiery temper, held onto an ancient godly item and rushed straight towards Yihua. However, Yihua did not even take a look at Ing Xiang as he silently took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. "Eat my blade." The ancient godly item in Ing Xiang's hand immediately emitted a bright golden light, illuminating the entire night sky. Meanwhile, that long blade let out an excited tiger's roar, as if it wanted to devour everything in the world. Death Mage clenched his fist. Bang! Ing Xiang, who had an extraordinary aura, turned into a mist of blood on the spot. The ancient godly item fell from the sky and stabbed into the ground. Boom! The entire island shook, and it could be seen just how powerful the ancient godly item was. However, none of the 9 people in the sky went to pick up the godly item. It was as if the ancient godly item was trash in their eyes. Death Mage, who was standing at the back of the 9 people, instantly killed 2 people, causing everyone to be stupefied. It would have been fine if he had insta-killed that warrior. However, insta-killing Ing family's second brother, who possessed an ancient godly item, was something that no one could accept. Ing Jingshan and the other family members didn't dare to rashly make a move anymore. Since Death Mage was able to insta-kill the person who was standing at the back of the 9 people, just how strong would the person who was standing at the front be? Yihua exhaled out a mouthful of smoke, and the smoke that he exhaled out slowly drifted towards the weakened Heavy Dust. Heavy Dust, who was lying on the ruins, smelled the smoke, and his 4 limbs that were originally unable to move began to gradually wriggle. Soon after, Heavy Dust suddenly stood up. Roar! Heavy Dust let out a long howl, then bent his front leg and bowed towards Yihua. Right now, the hearts of Ing family's people were collapsing. So many people had died just to defeat Heavy Dust. However, with just a breath from Yihua, Heavy Dust, who was on the verge of death, immediately came back to life, as if he had been injected with a stimulant. Is he still human? Yihua could be seen raising his hands. The entire sea surface immediately began boiling, and seawater could be seen surging upwards, forming legs, waist, chest, arms, and head. 8 giant water demon gods surrounded the island and looked down at all of Ing family's people. Heavy Dust was already trembling in fear. In front of the giant water demon gods, he was just like a wild boar, and he could only raise his head to look up at the giant water demon gods. Not only Heavy Dust, the legs of everyone in Ing family were trembling, and those who were slightly weaker had already collapsed onto the ground. Meanwhile, Ing Kongshur had already fainted from fear. This was not the end. Below Yihua, the seawater was rising in a straight line, but while it was rising, it was also rapidly freezing, gradually forming a frozen platform. Yihua and the others just happened to be standing on the platform. A frozen throne could be seen rising from the center of the platform. Yihua slowly sat on the throne, then flicked away the cigarette, but that was in his hand, and shouted faintly, "Why are the 2 of you still not coming over?" Ing family's people didn't know what this man meant. What 2 of us? Yi Zizi and Qing Yutong, who were hiding below, let out a sigh. And at the same time, they even touched their buttocks. Ing Jingshan saw 2 figures flying out from the side, and when he saw their appearance, he took in a breath of cold air. So it was them. All of the family members who had seen Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi felt as if their chests were going to vomit out blood. So it was them. The entire Ing family was actually played around by these 2 women, and they were even killing each other. Coming to the ice platform, Yi Zizi lowered her head and stood together with Wei Chong and the others, looking just like a child who had done something wrong. Qing Yutong didn't know where she should stand anymore. I don't know what kind of reaction they will have when I jump into brother-in-law's embrace. Of course, I can only think about it. Only an idiot would do something like that in such a big scene. However, where should I stand? I should just stand at the back. Yutong, stand at my side, Yihua said faintly. In any case, Yi Zizi is my sister-in-law. I have to give Qing a face. Just treat it as me standing at her big sister's side. Qing Yutong was overjoyed. Brother-in-law even brought his sister-in-law along when he is acting cool. I really want to kiss brother-in-law. However, I can't show this kind of expression on my face. I can't lose brother-in-law's face. Standing at her brother-in-law's side, Qing Yutong looked at the small island in front of her, the water gods that were standing at the surroundings, and heavy dust who was kneeling at the ruins. This kind of feeling was something that she had never felt before. Wei Chang could be seen taking a small step forward, then shouted out gravely, "Kneel!" The 8 water gods shouted out at the same time, "Kneel!" A powerful pressure directly pressed onto the backs of all of the people from Ming family, and all of the people who were flying in the air were instantly pressed onto the ground. One by one, the people from Ming family gradually kneeled onto the ground. As the family master, Ying Jingshan was holding on with all his might. How could he possibly kneel? Puffed. A mouthful of blood sprayed out from Ying Jingshan's mouth, and his knees smashed onto the ground. Seeing that all of the people from Ying family were kneeling onto the ground, Yihua said faintly, "The reason why I came here today is to give all of you a way out." Chapter 192. 1 second later, Yihua said faintly, "A wise man submits to circumstances. I admire the 2 of you. The Ying family, you call this giving time to consider? Others give you a day, but you give me a second?" And then he said, "A wise man submits to circumstances?" This wasn't good, right? It was too hasty. No matter who you were yesterday, from this moment onwards, you will only listen to one person's orders. Yihua shouted out faintly, "Sun Fong, come out." Sun Fong, who was standing at the back, was startled. Why was she called out at this time? Death Mage pushed the foolish woman. "His honor is asking you to hurry up and run." Sun Fong was still wearing the uniform of a hotel attendant. When the people of the Ying family saw Sun Fong, their heads started buzzing. Could it be that they would have to listen to a hotel attendant from now on? She's the one you'll have to listen to in the future. She'll also pass on my orders. Of course, you can resist, but don't forget the price. I've exterminated a lot of people, and I won't recommend killing one more. After finished speaking, Yihua silently lit up a cigarette. Wei Chang once again shouted in a low voice, "Did you hear me clearly?" The Ying family was silent. A water demon god punched at the crowd. Boom, boom, boom. The entire island shook violently, as if it was about to explode. A huge shockwave swept across the island, and the entire Ying family's building was reduced to rubble by the punch. "Did you hear me?" Wei Chang once again shouted. The 8 water demon gods had already raised their fists. If they continued to fight, the entire Ying family would be destroyed. "I heard it," Ying Shang shouted. As Ying Shang spoke, more and more members of the Ying family spoke up. In front of absolute strength, all resistance was useless. They could only submit. Lai Gu shouted out, "Be orderly, use honorifics." The entire island could be heard shouting at the same time, "We will obey his honor's command." It isn't a long time since I enjoyed this kind of treatment. Yihua slightly closed his eyes. In the past, when I met with this kind of situation, I would basically not leave anyone alive. However, it is different now. Everyone has their own use, as long as I make good use of them. Wei Chang, Lai Gu, and Yi Zizi, who were standing at the back, were very excited. It was as if they had returned to the past, and they really wanted to kill all of them. To Wei Chang and Lai Gu's girlfriends, what they saw tonight had already refreshed their worldview. Sun Fong was still in shock and had yet to recover. In actuality, among all of them, only Qing Yutong was the most surprised. She knew that her brother-in-law was formidable, but she didn't expect that he was formidable to this extent. No wonder the system wants to hug his thigh. Big sister is really lucky. In the future, with brother-in-law protecting her, she could rest assured. Yihua stretched out his hand and formed a token. Sun Fong, you'll be able to control these 8 water demonic gods. And that cat, if they disobeyed, they would be killed. However, the giant water demon god can only appear in this sea region. Death Mage immediately signaled with his eyes. If not, if his honor gets angry and kills you, where am I going to find a wife? Of course, Sun Fong knew the rules. She knelt on the ground and received the token with both hands. You all can still live your lives as usual, just that you all have to listen to her. Yihua emphasized for the last time, then snapped his fingers and all of them disappeared. The 8 giant water demon gods also turned into seawater, and the ice-sealing throne also quickly melted. If not for heavy dust still kneeling down, everyone would have thought that they were dreaming, looking at the ancient godly item that fell not far away from them. Ying Jingshan's expression was a bit sluggish. To them, ancient godly items are indeed trash. At this moment, Yihua and the others arrived at the surface of the sea, and soon after, Yihua said faintly, "Everyone disperse, do what you are supposed to do." Death Mage suddenly said, "Your Honor, subordinate wishes to assist Sun Fong." Approved. Thank you, Your Honor. Death Mage was worried that Sun Fong would not be able to suppress this Ying family by herself. With me here, I could be at ease. It wasn't easy for me to get a wife. I can't let her die just like that. Sun Fong stood at the side. Although she didn't understand what Death Mage was saying, she felt that it was related to her. Your Honor, subordinate will be leaving first, Lai Gu said respectfully. Yihua waved his hand, and Lai Gu's 3 women said respectfully, Your Honor, subordinate will be leaving first. Soon after, Wei Chong brought Tang Wei and left, while Death Mage brought Sun Fong and entered the barrier once again. Yi Zizi pulled onto Qin Yutong, and the two prepared to sneak away. What are you two doing? Yihua shouted gravely. Yi Zizi pouted her mouth, then immediately raised her butt. Qin Yutong let out a sigh. Brother-in-law teaching sister-in-law a lesson is right and proper. Thus, Qin Yutong learned from Yi Zizi and raised her butt. Yihua originally wanted to say something else, but he didn't expect that the two of them would be so self-aware. All right, clap, 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 clap. Immediately, sounds of pain rang out. After quite a while, Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi held onto their butts and followed behind Yihua. I hit too hard. My butts are all swollen now. All right, what kind of family is this? Yihua asked. Qin Yutong rubbed onto her butt, then said with grievance, We don't know either. And Zizi doesn't know either. Yihua let out a breath. I was still too casual. If the people from Ying family found out about this, they would probably cry themselves to death in the toilet. Using violence to subdue me, yet I don't know who I subdued. Do you want to know about the 3 big powers? Yutong, come over. Yihua called out. Brother-in-law, you really can't hit her anymore. Look, her butt is all swollen. Yihua laughed lightly. Don't mess around in the future. Also, don't tell your big sister about this matter. Yihua said seriously. It's better to take it slow with my identity. I'm afraid that Qin Yu won't be able to accept it immediately. Why? Qin Yutong was confused. Yihua let out a long sigh. I'm afraid that your big sister will feel inferior. After all, I am truly too outstanding. Qin Yutong, brother-in-law, can you not act cool? Yihua immediately raised his hand, and Qin Yutong was so frightened that she hid behind Yi Zizi. Do you understand? I understand. I won't tell big sister, but brother-in-law, you have to find a chance to tell big sister too. Yihua naturally knew that. Back then, when he tried to tell her that he was a cultivator, although he didn't show it, he was still able to feel that Qin Yu was feeling a bit inferior. If he were to tell her that he was a cultivator immediately, she would feel that she was useless and then have other thoughts in her mind. After arriving at the hotel, Yihua suddenly recalled that his wife was still at the wedding dress shop and hurriedly returned. Big Brother's ability to act cool is getting more and more formidable. He is actually telling us to go and be his foil. Yi Zizi said with a smile. I love to see his honor act cool. Zizi, did you notice that every time your big brother acts cool, He has to smoke. Why is that? My big sister said that brother-in-law contracted a kind of illness that is incurable. It's called acting cool after smoking syndrome. There's such an illness? It sounds so awesome. ZZ, you cannot learn from your big brother. Girls cannot smoke, and even more so, they cannot fight. They also cannot go to bars, and they also cannot put out fires. Big sister Ching, what are we going to wear to the bar tonight? I feel that pink lowly attire suits you very well. What should I wear then? Sailor Moon Warrior, that you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.